Live from Trenton, New Jersey. SativaCross.com. Ignorance is no excuse podcast.
Like that. More people should be able to have access to their medication, and it shouldn't be a stigma that if you smoke pot, then you're a druggie. You should be able to have an access to an herb, you know, that God made for us. What you think? What's your opinion?
Sir, here you go.
I think it should be legalized like Las Vegas.
Yes.
It should be legalized. I think it should be for multiple reasons. One, for medicine, but therapy. Patients could grow, and people that don't have much to live for, those plants could give them a lot to wake up for every day, on top of it being their medicine to help them with their ailments. And it could give them something to go to rather than going to the bottle or going to the needle or going to the crack pipe or something else. It gives them a healthy alternative. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. What's your name?
James Rock.
James. Thank you, James.
Yeah, see, being nosy pays off.
Yeah. Yeah. Get your cannabis card. Go to your doctor and get your cannabis card. Yeah, you can put it right there. Can you get a cannabis card? I mean, you live in Trenton. You probably have PTSD just from living in this town, right?
I just came back Saturday from Vegas.
Oh, from Vegas. Oh, how is it out there?
I love Vegas. Yeah. There's always something to do. A lot of things going on. Yeah. It's a tourist town, but there's always things to do.
Did you win?
Sometimes, yeah. But see, you'd be surprised. You learn things if you live there, right? You learn they have a lot of free play.
Nice. Because of the casinos there, do they give back to the community a lot since they make revenue from out-of-towners and whatnot?
Yes, they give a lot back.
So the local economy actually supports the people out in Vegas?
Yes.
Something we should look more at here in New Jersey to do.
They don't know, you know. But if you live there, you know the ins and outs.
Well, at least they are giving back to the local community. I mean, we need to do that more here in Trenton. Wouldn't you agree?
You have too many thieves here.
Hey, did you get cannabis out in Vegas? Did you smoke anything? No.
No. But I was going to, but I came home.
Because it's available there, because if you wanted to, you had the option to choose to go get cannabis. But here, unfortunately, you don't have that freedom.
The doctor, he give you a card where you
Is that process very hard in Vegas, or are there doctors everywhere? They're pretty liberal about it. They don't make it a 5-visit type thing. Nice. You can walk in, tell them you need your medication, they give you your prescription, and go to get it. Nice. The legal route where everybody wins.
not mine.
I am crazy. I am.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Have a good day. Thanks for checking us out.
There you go. Sometimes it pays off to be nosy.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are at the State House podcast, yet again. It's October. It's getting chilly.
Brr.
Yeah, it's getting there.
I know.
Got a lot to talk about today, Jesse.
I know. How are you doing?
I'm stressed out.
I could only imagine after yesterday.
I'm in pain from dealing with ignorance.
This weather, just natural ailments on top of all the
Yeah.
extra BS.
That's right.
So what happened with you yesterday, Left?
I went to court for my cannabis jar.
For your jar.
Yeah, I dropped my jar on the ground, and they're saying that I smashed it and spit a joint out of my mouth and was like a wild man. And I said, oh, wow. The judge even read my thing, and she's like, really? I'm like, yes, Judge. It was a cannabis jar, and it was $80 that they say I smashed on the ground. And she's like, well, they're probably going to drop this. And I'm like, well, I'm still here. It's
I've
guitar.
been coming every notice in the mail I've been getting.
Yeah, had 5 notices, 4 changes, 4 prosecutors, and I asked for Scutari. They promised me I would have Scutari last time, and now I got some other prosecutor I've never even seen before, some young girl.
That's their MO to keep. I mean, imagine. I'm not happy that you're disabled, but since you are disabled and myself, we had that freedom of showing up to those court dates. If we were back at our 9 to 5 job, that really was our 9 to 12 job, we wouldn't be able to probably take off all of those days to get to all those court dates. And they prey on people running out of money and not being able to show up, to where they just give in and either pay or plea, bargain it out.
Yeah, they want me to plea, and plea to what? And what are they trying to get out of me anyway? The most they can get is $500. I've already taken more than $500 out of the reputation of Linden, and I'm done embarrassing the town. Just really let me go. Leave me alone.
Are they trying to say they want to put you on probation or anything for this? Or is it just a fine?
No, it's a fine, and it's on my criminal
So
record.
you mean to tell me they've been wasting all these taxpayer dollars for everyone to be there in that courtroom, the judge to get paid, the bailiff to be there, for you to be there every time, and them do nothing over $500 when the first time you went to court they probably spent well over $500 on lunch that day?
Nick Scutari doesn't need me there to drop this case. He could drop this case at any time and just send me a letter in the mail, say, don't bother showing up. We're dropping this case. Sorry. We're sorry.
Has he responded to you?
No. I can't even get into his office because, first of all, I got this wheelchair, and whenever I'm with Michelle or somebody in the wheelchair, we can't get into Scutari's office because he has an ADA violation going on there. And I don't understand this guy.
You know, that's something that people don't realize, I don't believe, until they're personally affected, either themselves or someone really close to them. If they have someone that is, handicapped that becomes in a wheelchair, and they realize the problem it is to do simple things like grocery shop or get into your doctor's appointment, or, even all these running arounds that we have to do myself for Social Security, all the offices. How would I get into half of them if I had my scooter with me? I wouldn't. I wouldn't get into probably most of them.
Disabled people have to go 20 blocks instead of 2 blocks to get what they need. It's a civil rights violation, really.
And now that I have handicap plates on my vehicle, and looking for handicap parking when you really need it, that's almost impossible to even find a handicap spot, let alone if you find one spot, it be available. It's a shame. It's something people don't really recognize or acknowledge until, like I said, they're personally affected.
Well, I was telling the police, and the police are on our side, because even the police were like, ma'am, he can film and he can do what he wants here. But the police get it because they know people coming home from the service with no legs. But their problem isn't the no legs, it's the PTSD that comes with that also. So not only are you dealing with no legs and no access to anything and being victimized that way, you're also having PTSD. So you're probably not even going out. You're probably getting shut in, staying home, not going out.
My uncles were both Vietnam veterans, and my one uncle, he would go, work on his farm, and he would go to church every Sunday. But in our church, we were not even allowed to clap our hands because of the amount of veterans we had. Because if we clapped our hands, my 6'3" uncle would hit the deck, because back then they didn't have anything to call it, but now we know it's definitely PTSD, and that's a shame.
Yeah, they called it shell shock back then.
Oh. It was definitely shock, for sure. But the fact that, this lady is getting paid by public taxpayer dollars, and she feels that she has the right not to be filmed by the taxpayer.
Yeah.
Did she not go to college?
Yeah, you have one job, lady. Know the law.
I mean, like you said, the police officer has the body cams. The courtroom has their surveillance cameras. Why can't the citizen that's trying to represent himself and defend himself record as well? Because I know myself with my disability, I don't want to remember it, so I probably need to be able to replay it.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Especially if you're representing yourself, that I would forget half of it probably if I couldn't write it down or have it on video.
So they confiscated my camera, my phone, my other camera, my bag, my computer. They confiscated it and put it in a room. So I'm like, really? So now when I go there,
Who confiscated it?
This institutional racist. Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just kind of not. I'm wanting to step away from all this racist stuff because I'm about the love. I feel like they're dividing everybody by making all this hate.
I'm disgusted. Well, it's institutional. That's the problem. She's fighting this for the system. She's the one that went into the prosecutor while I'm filming. She goes, "He's filming you, Mr. Prosecutor." Twice she went in and knocked me out for filming. The prosecutor.
And that's not illegal. So what was she so upset about?
She's protecting the system. Because that's where she gets paid from.
She's used to she's used to preying on people not knowing the law, not knowing their rights, and not having the cojones to stand up for those rights. Because unfortunately, with the way they are dumbing down all the students in school and the uneducation of our system, I mean, just look at what's going on, like the healthcare bill. I never knew somebody that could work 9-10 months and still get a paycheck and not get anything done in our government. But that's government. They don't want you to be educated because then you'd know stuff like that.
Well, it's the same way it was back hundreds of years ago. They want to keep people down and uneducated. If you caught a black person with a book in the 1800s, they would beat them, they'd whip them, possibly lynch them if they caught them with a book.
What about my people, the Native Americans? They came and took our dirt.
Took everything.
And then, like, the reservations, for instance, like in Mississippi, the Choctaw Indian Reservation, I mean, God bless, love y'all. But they have a little bit of land that they're forced upon, and it's like these people have found a way through the casinos and the fact that they're able to put them on their land down there because they're illegal any other way, and they're able to get some of their revenue and their money back from the local area. But still, just seeing those people have just this box of land all these years, you know, and that's all you got. And then look at what happened with the Dakota pipeline out there. It's just like, okay, well, we know we took your land a long time ago, but we need this right now, so we're going to take this now. What?
5 days it took Trump to do that. Trump was in office 5 days when they took out the water protectors.
I don't think it was Trump. I mean, look, it was already going on before him. I'm not saying he helped the cause, but look, that's what we need to acknowledge. It was already there and going on before him, so there was already a problem.
Yeah, but Obama wasn't like getting them out of there. He wasn't like, as soon as Trump took office, he went in there and took those water protectors out. And that's what turned me off to Trump right the first 5 days.
Well,
that was it. I was done with him. I'm like, really? You're not going to protect the water protectors? We need clean water. What are you doing? Nope. He wants to put oil in our friggin' water. It's disgusting.
I guess you can't like what someone does 100%, and I just try to weigh out things, and I do unfortunately have to say that I like what he's done for our economy, and the fact that if this tax bill goes through and they will no longer be taxing Social Security checks, woohoo! And then if you make, as a one household income, one person, the first $12,000 is not going to be taxed, and if you're a married couple, the first $24,000 is not going to be taxed at all, and your tax bracket is automatically dropped if you're a small business owner from 33% to 15%, which is going to help the small man get back out there and own, which is something that hasn't been looked at or even changed or done since Reagan, and that's something that we need to at least acknowledge is being done, and be a part of it if you want to say something about it. But that is something that needs to be done so that the people can get back to owning stores and having revenue being locally made. And I mean, people like BMW, they're putting a company, I think it is, they're building a plant in Virginia. I mean, we weren't building plants or doing anything in our country for several decades, I feel. And now it's time that we start bringing things back to the local soil and the local dirt, and maybe giving people these jobs that make a decent income to give them something to look forward to every day, to maybe get them to ensue education and positivity in the rest of their family, rather than misery from not having any money, barely being able to pay that light bill. I mean, what does that do for anybody? It does nothing but cause these riots and madness and anger. I mean, I could go on for days. I'll shut up. But But, I mean, at what point as we people are we going to look at each other, whether it be medical marijuana, whether it be not having handicap steps, this racist crap, this shooting in Vegas? I mean, we got to look at each other and start just on the local level, getting back to being like, hi, hello, how are you, and building from there. And I feel like that's something we...
Like you are.
Yeah, it's tiring. It's tiring.
I can't be like that. I can't. I'm tired. I'm tired. Right.
I know, but I feel like I've met so many beautiful people just by my big mouth. And that's by talking.
I love it. I do. I love it.
But
the cannabis business is gonna boom in New Jersey very soon.
I know, and I really want to be a part, because I think something that's so vital to the cannabis law here and for the patients is home cultivation. I really think that even if it is a small number, I don't care if it's just 10 plants, we need to have that for therapeutic reasons on top of financial reasons.
Scutari won't give it to us. It's set up for rich white people, this whole industry.
It is, and that's what's terrible. Let you have your rich white industry for the people that aren't on a fixed income and not patients, and let them deal with it. But us patients, we need to be in a special protected class, and we need to have special bylaws, because I know that my Social Security check that I worked 3 jobs from the time I quit at 15 is not enough to barely live on. So I'm forced to, hustle and be a tie-dye artist. And
think about this: when legalization comes, how we're going to be locked out. Because I went to Breakwater yesterday. There was a line. For the first time, there was a line of like 10 people in front of me at Breakwater.
Really?
So imagine when legalization hits, how Breakwater is going to be. Like, how are we going to get our medicine when there's going to be thousands of people getting...
That's why I think they need to consider a protected class home cultivation for patients. I mean, that's, I think, the one key for us to be able to, number one, have our medication, and number two, financially be able to afford it. But we'll still be going to the dispensaries. We'll still need different strains. We'll still not be able, without a number of plants, to produce enough to be some drug lord, or even for myself, as much as I smoke, to smoke. Like, I couldn't produce enough off 10 plants. But that just says that we wouldn't be going to the dispensary as much, but then we wouldn't be waiting in those lines as much. We wouldn't be subjected to the higher cost as much, but yet we would still be able to do both. But who am I but the person that's paying for it?
Yeah, a lot. You're paying the most, and you should get some, what's the word?
A coupon. I don't know.
You should get
a broke-down coupon.
Some kind of credit for all the money we've put into this program the last 4 years.
Well, Compassionate Sciences, God bless them, they give a 20% discount if you're disabled. So I appreciate that, and they've stepped their game up with their strains. Their quality there is amazing from what it was just a couple years ago till now. So that's one good thing. But they're still held to the same law that's been here, that's old, that needs to be readdressed. And, I was sitting with a lady in the waiting room, and her wife with cancer went in, but because she didn't want to have to go through the fingerprinting process, and they didn't necessarily have the $200 for her to be a registered caregiver for her wife, she was forced to sit in the waiting room and couldn't go in with her. And that's just, we need to address that. We shouldn't be making caregivers go through a fingerprinting FBI process and making them pay money just to help assist somebody who can't do it for themselves. That's ridiculous. Because they don't allow you to buy enough in the first place for people to be worried about being some drug lord.
You can go to the pharmacy right now for me and pick up OxyContin if there's a prescription of Oxy waiting for me. Right now. And enough to kill me. That's okay, though. There's no fingerprinting, no nothing, no state registration. I just say, Jesse, go pick up my OxyContin. Okay. Right?
Because they're the #1 lobbyist in this country, pharmaceutical companies.
You have to sign for it? Okay.
Because they have I mean, what about the guy out in, I believe is it California? I'll get the state wrong, but they're denying him a kidney because he smokes pot. Yeah. Because he can't pass the drug test without medical cannabis in the system, they are denying him a kidney. Like, what? How does that even make sense? Let that be your son, your daughter, and then when you hit that gavel and you think about these laws, I bet you would think about them differently. And I think if someone is looking at you with all this money that Christie has spent with the anti-opiate campaign and the opiate reduction campaign, when realistically all he is supporting is a Suboxone way of life, which once again is pharmaceutical and not a cure at all, he really isn't doing anything but spending taxpayer dollars on fancy commercials, I feel, and giving subsidies to Suboxone doctors and methadone clinics to get people strung out on something else. Because one drug the pharmacies made got too popular in mainstream white America, and now they got to, you know, push it under the rug for a little while. Same thing as 1999, 2000, when they came out with Oxycontin 80s, and all my friends overdosed and died because they had no idea what they were getting themselves into at 16, 17 years old. And now they still have Oxycontin 80s, but apparently they did something funky to it to where you can't shoot it up. Well, that's great, but people are still taking 80 milligrams of Oxycontin. And you mean to tell me that medical cannabis, there's something wrong with? But here we're having lines in the CVS's, and the trucks can't bring the medication fast enough, and the doctors can't get their pens out, write the scripts fast enough. But yet you're going to tell me a plant that we choose to take over those scripts and over those addictive drugs is wrong? You're out of your mind. And I would love anybody to walk over here and question that with me. I would love to debate it with you.
Okay, why?
Well, because my whole right side is made out of titanium. I'm a victim of felony assault and battery.
Sorry I asked.
You know, I choose not to take those addictive drugs, and I don't sleep hardly at night. It's hard for me to do my daily chores around the house. I have a handicapped dog, you know, picking her up, but I do it. And I do it all by smoking my medical cannabis.
What's your favorite strain right now?
That's a hard question. You know, I had some Rocky Road last week that was really pretty and really mellow. I liked it a lot. It didn't make me too sleepy. Yeah, a truck full of pumpkins. Woo. But what do you think, Lefty, though, like about the availability of the cannabis in this state right now?
I went to the dispensary yesterday. I could not get my lemon G that I wanted.
They were out of it, or?
Yep. And there was a huge line, and I could feel that I'm already getting squeezed out because all the patients that are being added, they can't handle all the patients that are being added for PTSD right now. They added like double the ranks now.
No, when you only have a manner of 6 licenses in the entire state of New Jersey, and then you only have 3 dispensaries that are open, and out of those 3, only 2 are properly producing medication. When you have Egg Harbor, one of the largest facilities in our state, not being held accountable, that they have had so much money pumped into that facility, and the quality of product and everything that's coming out of there is not even subpar. And that is a huge facility that patients could be addressing and going to and using, and that once again is just making for the other dispensaries, Breakwater in North Jersey and Compassionate Science in South Jersey, to be able to be overloaded. You not get your lemon G because they can't make it fast enough and cure it fast enough, because that's what people that don't know about medical cannabis need to understand. It's a process. You have to grow the plant, and then you have to trim the plant, and then you have to cure your medication. So if they would just allow patients to have a limited number of plants, they would allow us to be able to make enough, I'll speak for myself, enough cannabis to where maybe it would help supplement my budget a little bit, as well as, like I said, therapeutic. It would give me something to wake up to every day. I'd have to address every day because they're like children. And anyone who's willing to grow cannabis, you know, that says that they, you know, have, what's the right word I'm looking for? They have will left in them to still live and do for themselves. And, you know, because it's not necessarily an easy thing. It's not hard, but it's just something that takes, you know, due diligence with. And if someone's going to take their life and want to do that with a plant, by God, who are we to stop them?
Well, I give people more hoops to jump through, and they're already sick, jumping through hoops just to live.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 35, and I can tell you from the time I was injured at 25 till now, I mean, I am tremendously worse off. What am I going to be? I always say, like, at 40, 45, if I make it to 50, what will I be like then? I'm already using a scooter. I'm already, you know, struggling. And at 35, I shouldn't have to be that way. Nobody should. That's terrible. Especially these children with the seizures that, you know, have been proven that medical cannabis helps with the seizures. I mean, I've been suffering from seizures tremendously bad for like since probably March. I mean, I busted out all of my front teeth a couple of times, and this has come out of nowhere. They're actually calling it, they don't know what it is, but it's possibly one of 2 things, hormonal epilepsy and for just epilepsy, they're saying. But 100%, after I have one of my grandma lock up, bust my teeth out seizures, you know, my boyfriend gets me to get some cannabis in me, whether it be some oil or I wake up and I smoke, whatever it is, and that 100% gets my body to unlock and gets me to come back to reality, to say. But if you've never suffered from seizures, as a grown woman now dealing with it, I could not physically imagine a child going through what I've been going through. I've lived my life. You know, if I clock out right now, that's fine because I've lived my life. But these children, they should be given an opportunity, if nothing else, to secede from like that pain. And I mean, seizures are terrible. They're like, anybody can watch a video and it looked bad enough, but until you've went through it, and I can only say this, like I said, because of what I've personally been suffering through. I mean, it's unheard of.
Seizures look bad. I can't imagine how they feel like, because they just look very scary and painful.
I mean, I have in my front foyer at my house, Lefty, 2 tiles that are busted from me hitting the ground, seizure. I mean, that's intense. And these children are doing this.
You could have died.
And they're doing this
you could be dead from that. Easily. Easily.
Oh, yes. I was struggling for a while, yeah. I guess I lost like 28 days. I was there, but I wasn't there. You know, I was not there at all. And it's from hitting my head. So these children in their cribs, hitting their head, you know, falling out of their beds, you know, having to be restrained while they sleep. That's no way of life when nothing but like a simple dropper of cannabis oil that is just CBD based, not THC. But even if they needed the THC, God bless, give it to them, because that they need it. And that's something that's going to help them hopefully, you know, get to an older age where hopefully maybe they grow out of the seizure a little bit, or if it's something they suffer with for their entire life, they learn how to grow with it, and they learn how to dose themselves with their medication, and it only be cannabis, not a medication like oxycodone or fentanyl from the CVS, not putting them on the Xanax and the Valiums, and, you know, making them just a living zombie drooling out their mouth, you know, still making them a viable child where, yeah, maybe they have a few seizures here and there, but they're in the playground playing, they're still functioning, you know, doing things with children their same age, which before that they wouldn't have been able to do.
You have to keep switching strains, I notice.
Yeah, you will get, I feel like, immunity to it, or like you just build up a tolerance. And
it's a natural medicine, and with natural medicines you have to do that. Same thing with like mint. When you use mint for migraines, you have to change the strain of mint every once in a while, because it won't work for you every time. Natural medicine's like that. It's the way God put it here for us. So.
And that's the whole nother reason why we should be able to grow it ourselves. I'm going to keep saying that because I'm really big on that, and I think that after being, you know, a grower myself and doing it, because the state of New Jersey charged me for my medical cannabis card and my doctor visits, but could not supply me still with my medication, I was able somehow to get through it. But
You grew weed. Didn't you grow like 50 plants?
Something like that. It was enough. I mean, it was the fact that they charge you for everything, you know, if it's a seedling or if it's a full-blown...
The dirt hanging off the roots.
Oh, yeah.
The vermiculite and the perlite. I charge you that, too.
Yeah, you know, and they had probably like 75 cops. I don't even know. There were so many of them, and I just hung my head. And then by the time it was all said and done, they were on my side of the fence, and they were... like sad they were even there, because here I was, a disabled girl, never been in trouble in her life, solely didn't want to go the Oxycontin heroin route, and decided to go to medical cannabis.
Hold on.
Saved the money in this insane state, how much it cost.
So wait, they were nice to you while they victimized you? Is that what you're saying? They smiled while they victimized you?
Of course, only because I looked them right in their face and I said...
it helps when they smile, it does. It makes you feel better.
My father got shot in the line of duty in Chicago in '95, and I look him right in the face and I say, code blue. My dad was the cop, and they're like, oh yeah, where'd he work? And of course they think he works in New Jersey. I'm like, no, he got shot in the line of duty, he got killed, you know, and they immediately changed their beat, only because they feel some type of way, I guess, because they're brotherhood. But then I start saying, you know, I tell him he was for cannabis. He was supportive of it. He wouldn't take somebody to jail if he pulled him over, because he was too worried about the guys with the guns that were going to shoot him. The real stuff.
Yeah. I like cops more and more, and I really like the Linden cops I met last night. They were actually really cool. And, you know, they're on our side. I mean, they really are. They want us to succeed. They want us to complete our missions.
And it only makes their job easier because, you know, here they are. Well, I mean, look at what's going on in the world today. Every state, you turn the news on any channel, you can see any kind of craziness. And they're having to worry about and their issues of not going home to their wife and their children because of all this craziness that's happening. You know, the guns, the terrorists, the attacks, you know, a little bit of cannabis shouldn't be something that they're having to do a bunch of paperwork for and calling another cop over to haul somebody to jail, wasting our tax dollars on that, you know, stall, the whole process. People don't understand how much money goes into these cannabis offenses, not just towards the person that has to fight for their freedom, but also the county offices, the prosecutor's offices, the judges, the cops, I mean, everything. And this is for a plant. This is like, you can grow tomatoes in your yard. It's the same thing, although it doesn't have the medical benefit as cannabis.
Is tomato a fruit or a vegetable?
I eat ketchup. I don't really eat tomatoes that much. I cook with them.
Well, in reality, it's a fruit because it has seeds, right? I believe it's a vegetable because of the Supreme Court back in the 1800s made some stupid law because of, it was some stupid thing, of course. Probably racist, who knows?
Well, it's a shame that when you're going to grow tomatoes or you're growing medical cannabis, you buy the same exact ingredients. It's pretty ironic that one, they support heart healthiness and goes on your salad, but the other one that saves you from cancer and seizures, they want to lock you up for? A little crazy.
You know, they say you're not supposed to say cannabis cures cancer, but it does. It actually starves the blood supply to seizure to
Why
tumors.
would anybody want to come out and say that? Because do you know how many patients or cancer patients would then want to turn around and sue their pharmaceutical reps for all the crazy drugs they had them try and IV'd them up to? I mean, yes, that might be something people have to do, but they should be given every option and every opportunity to fight their cancer the way they choose to. They shouldn't be told they only have this option or you can only do this, and if you don't, tough shit.
Try something less invasive like cannabis.
Just see if it works. See if it helps you, or maybe it would help you with your nausea through your chemo that you have to go through, unfortunately. You know, but nope. They'd rather put you on 5 or 6 more pills for your liver and your stomach to process, for you to then have to try and digest. That's then going to make you not want to eat even more. It's going to make you waste away and get skinnier, make it harder for you to fight.
Dr. Freeman kicked me out of his practice, and I lost my workers' comp because of him, because I was using cannabis, and he wanted me on roxicodone and Neurontin and injections, and I didn't want that. I wanted cannabis. So he kicked me out. I lost my workers' comp because of Dr. Freeman in Union. Asshole of the month, or the year, decade.
Well, with no names mentioned.
Allegedly. Or I could say that. I could say whatever I want about him. He's a jerk. He ruined my life.
If he did that, it sounds like he did.
Yeah, so he can go fuck off.
Well, you know how they've done the pain
Yeah, I saw
management
that.
offices in New Jersey, and where you get pain pills, you have to go to these pain management doctors only because it's like a pill mill clinic that they want to have everybody filtered through like cows. Well, if you don't pay the state money, which is a lot, which also will not allow you to have hunting license, and this particular person I know hunts, he can't get his cannabis card because he still has to have his hunting license because he makes part of his money through taking dogs out and taking other people to go on these hunts. But you can't have that license in the state of New Jersey and have your cannabis card. So when he has to, because he has numerous problems on top of Lyme's disease, has to go get his pain medication, he has to take this crazy pill that costs $150 just so he can pass a drug test, just so he can keep smoking his cannabis and not taking more of their medication in that office.
What pill is that?
That's that roxicodone crap.
Oh, roxicodone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
30s. They put him on 15s, and then they wanted to put him on 80s and 30s, and he's like, why? Why? Out of nowhere. When you're making me take this GNC pill that makes my stomach upset and flares up my stomach problems just so I could pee in a cup. When you yourself are a cannabis doctor, and then on the side you're over here pumping these pain pills because that's where the real money's at. Let's talk business. That's what was said in that office. Because this cannabis doctor also is making a ton of revenue off the pain pills. So here he is wrapping up the entire state, getting both sides of the fence. What do you think about that?
I think we're screwed, Jesse. I think.
I do think we are between a rock and a hard place.
I think we need some help. I know who to call, too, for this.
I'm going to eat in a couple minutes. I don't know if you're hungry.
Okay. I just want people to not have to have it personally affect them and their families before they realize that medical cannabis is something that we have to talk about, and it's an alternative that we should be giving patients, and we should be giving people that option before they are forced upon the CVS route.
This will be fun.
Who are we calling?
We're calling one of the original...
Hey, I was just watching a pharmacy video.
Hi, Chucky. You're on the air.
Oh, cool.
Hi.
I like it, man. 2 parts hydrogen.
What? 2 parts hydrogen? What?
What are you watching?
Yeah, H2O, right? Isn't the H2 meaning 2 parts hydrogen? I like the hydrogen.
Chucky, you started
There's some good shit at almost 6 foot, man. There's some good hydrogen here.
Oh, pretty girls. Pretty girls.
Chuck, are you still on medical cannabis or no?
Yes, a tiny bit, dude. I need to find the right strain, man. I'm lost.
Really?
Yeah, I'm working on it, man. Wednesday's a new day for me to try.
What are you trying now? What are you smoking? You don't even know, right?
Yeah, I know it's sativa, and I think that's my problem.
Oh, so you need an indica.
I need to smoke indica, yeah.
Well, with the dispensary prices in the state of New Jersey, it's not cheap to have to try and find your strain.
Yeah. Where are you getting it? You're not going to dispensaries, are you?
No, brother, California, man.
All right. Do what you got to do, man. I hear you. This is what patients go through.
Flight.
It's a quick flight. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to go through this. This is a story we hear all the time. Patients can't afford their medicine.
I gotta wear it, man.
You gotta wear what?
It's hard when you gotta wear it.
You gotta wear what?
When you gotta wear life.
Wear life?
Life of multiple. When you wear life of having multiple sclerosis.
Oh, Chucky.
I'm so sorry.
It's tough, man. You gotta wear it in every format, including the flame.
How? Don't. Whatever that is, turn that off, please. Chucky, what kind?
That just means you have to digest it.
What kind of symptoms are you having lately?
I've been having anxiety and paranoid attacks, and I think it's part of the program that I just went through.
Well, that'll do it. Yeah, you were in the clinic for a while, and that'll do it. Yeah, but I think the sativa is not your friend right now. Sativa is not good for paranoia and anxiety.
I know. With Halloween coming, man, I thought that I was seeing the Ripper.
The what?
A Reaper in my yard.
The Grim Reaper? Don't say that. He's not going to come by your house.
My neighbor's dressed up.
Oh.
People are nut jobs. It's Monmouth County. People in Monmouth County start dressing up October 1st.
So, Chucky, they took your medicine away for, what, 10 days?
Yep.
Why?
That's not good.
They pumped me up on a bunch of other shit.
Like what?
I'm trying to think of the name of it, man. I was on it for 12 days, 15 days.
Was it Zoloft or Xanax?
Screwed me up. No, I believe the Zoloft is helping me a little bit with the falling feeling.
Oh, wow.
That was my problem. I felt like I was falling out of the bed.
What? What does that mean?
When I was in the health clinic, my roommate obviously was taking pills too. So at nighttime when he had to wake up and take a pee, he couldn't walk around my bed. He decided to walk over my bed and over my neck.
Oh, no.
And my neck has a lot of problems from multiple sclerosis. For some adult male to step on in their sleep,
Jesus.
and I'm trying to sleep. I believe I have PTSD from that.
I believe you had it before that, but oh my God, that's terrible. Someone just steps on your neck in the middle of the night.
Yep.
Well, why did they get your
Probably the
medicine taken away from you for 10 days, Chucky?
New Jersey laws say different. Where they forcibly take you.
Oh, they forcibly took you and locked you up.
Oh my God, honey.
Yep.
Damn.
Sorry to hear
It
that.
happens a lot, man.
Gotta watch what you say to who.
Big
Amen.
time. You're on the air, by the
Say
way.
the wrong thing and it gets reported, man. They could take you away for 10 days.
Police state. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Down south, you'd have a hard time getting
Yes,
that
it is.
redneck out of his house.
Yep.
What?
And I was telling the people that were arresting me that I have a lot of disabilities. Please take it, be easy with me. And they were fucking putting some heavy pressure on me, man. With people laying on me.
Wow.
They make the fat dude lay on me.
It's always the fat guy, right?
There's always a fat one. Yeah, the
Couldn't be the
donut
skinny.
boy.
Got to be the big fat one, laying on you, sweating on
Yeah.
you, dripping all over you. It's
That's
disgusting.
his job.
Nasty. Can you imagine Christie laying on top of you? Can you imagine Mary Pat, what she goes through?
Upper
That poor
management.
woman. Sorry. I digress.
Lord of
You eat enough
mercy.
donuts, you move up in management.
The rhythm method, Chucky. The rhythm method.
It is the message, man.
Well, I'm glad you're away from all that. I
Yeah,
mean, my
Chucky.
gosh.
Wow. Thank God
I'm
you're
glad to be back to just street weed.
home. Street
I'm
weed.
actually looking for dirt weed to get back to it.
It's a shame that you need your medication. You can't just walk to a corner store and get it.
Yeah, come to Trenton, Chucky. We'll smoke you up. They just smoked me up with a big fat blunt, man. Didn't even ask. They just handed it to me. Like, here, smoke this, Lefty. I'm like, cool. You guys rock. Yeah.
Start Lefty.
It's cool like that down here,
I'm
man.
sure. I wish, man. I got a lot of shit with this. My wife and mother are going to Trenton without me on Saturday, and it puts me going to Manalapan tomorrow.
Okay.
So tomorrow I got to go to Manalapan for the state championship, and then they're going to Trenton for national
Nice. Well, there you go.
of cheerleading.
Chucky, I've seen you in a
I
cheerleader's
just
outfit.
walked outside.
Chucky, I've seen you in a cheerleader's
Had to
outfit.
walk outside.
It's pretty hot.
Beautiful out here. I'm taking my cock out right now.
Oh,
no,
stop,
Chucky,
stop,
no,
stop.
no,
Oh.
no, Chucky, we're at Trenton. You can't.
We're at the
no.
State House.
You can't say that. Jesus God.
It's a,
Chucky.
PG.
Jim, I'm gonna give you my
Here,
seat.
baby. You can take mine. I'm going to walk across the street real quick.
Yeah, me too.
Chucky, I'll be back.
Yeah. Chucky, you are the best. We're gonna do a podcast at your place one of these days.
I'm freezing.
When we
yeah,
see you.
man. There's no hurry, though. Whenever
Yeah, I miss you,
you're
man.
local.
We were with Jeff King yesterday. Jeff King came to Linden Courthouse, and he supported us. It was great
Yeah.
seeing him. Yeah.
That must have been cool.
Yeah, you and Jeff started the INE tour with us, man. It was great seeing him.
Yeah, back in the day, man. It seems like it was yesterday, but it was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while, dude. Keensburg was a while
Time
ago.
flies.
We've made some
Time
inroads.
flies.
What?
Well, this is my first time trying to zip her up while on this phone. Holy cow.
Well, what are your plans,
Holy
Chucky?
cow.
What are you going to do?
I'm voting for Murphy, and I'm playing weed.
Okay, you think Phil Murphy's going to give us home grow?
Yes.
All
I
right.
think he's going to get a total legalization.
All right, I hope so. I hope you're right, Chucky.
Grow with your basil. Grow with your basil and cucumbers, man. That is the hope, dream of my life. And then I could grow my own dirt weed.
No, you want to grow skunk
I
weed.
use real dirt.
You want to grow purple Urkel, or whatever the hell.
Use real
Good.
dirt to grow the dirt.
I'm going to grow Gorilla Glue 4 and God's Gift. There you go.
Yeah, you got to put the right fungus in the ground, you know.
Oh, fungus too. We want to grow fungus. Yeah, we like that too.
The fungus makes the herb grow best.
I'm gonna wait till you wrap it up. I don't want to get on and
You
extend
want them frosty leaves, you want fungus.
Me and Lefty were judges at the Harvest Fest.
Wait, say that again. Hold on. Hold on. Go ahead.
Me and Lefty were judges at the Harvest Fest. It was pretty awesome.
That was fun.
Best dad.
Yeah, that is a fun place.
Yeah, you missed out, Chuck. You need to come. Richie was looking for you. Rich and Denise were looking for you, man.
Yeah, I'm sure. Things are rough for me this year, but I'm coming back. It's coming back to me, man. My physical therapist has been kicking my ass 3 days a week. So I got soreness from that. Physical soreness from exercise. But physical therapy was important for me.
I go to Asian therapy for my physical therapy. It's acupuncture, cupping, massage, traction. It's really good. It's different than regular physical therapy. You might want to look into that.
Well, I just go to a guy whose name is Basil. And he tells me to look at myself in the mirror. Look at myself in the mirror, and only you can fix yourself.
Yeah, it's mostly exercise,
keep
right?
looking.
Yeah, you want more than that. You want some therapy, some palliative therapy for yourself. That's
I
what you
tried
need.
some things, but I like the elastics, man. I'm using a lot of elastics.
I like that too. Yeah,
Pulling elastics off the walls.
helpful.
And he's got some that come from the ceiling. And you can pretend that you're doing skiing, cross country skiing.
Yeah, I do
by
that.
pulling elastics from the ceiling.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really awesome, man. I'm feeling more relief from that than from the herb. You know,
Yeah,
it's tough when you're in it this many years.
yeah. Well, I got hope for you, Chucky. You sound better. I'm glad to hear you're doing better.
Yeah, I do feel a little better, man. I'm hoping to cut my lawn and feel even better from doing that. But it's got to get about 5 more degrees warmer.
Well, Chucky, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Who's the bigger douche, Phil Murphy or Kim Guacamole?
It's got to be...
Awkward and uncomfortable. Just let that linger for a minute. I just hung up on Chucky. That was not nice. It just proves I'm a dick. My middle name is Dick. Ed Dick Grimes. There you go.
Well, on any other show, he would have been hung up on with the first "whoa" and been gone. But you know, I don't know how to yell over the microphones. Get your hand on the button. You know, what does it take to get a 3-second delay?
I think it's a 7-second delay.
7
Imus used it. Imus said shit the other day on the air.
Yeah.
They thumped
I
him.
mean, we rarely need it, but
Sometimes it's appropriate to say the F word.
well, yeah.
Sometimes,
you know.
but
If I'm
this- yeah,
walking by and I was listening to that and I didn't see the banner, I would have no idea what was going on. You know, just saying. Because I was out there. I was coming back
Yeah, you're out there.
and trying to set this. We got the coalition sign up. I forgot that this morning. I hardly ever unpack things from my car except the tent top. This time I needed more room. And apparently this and the stuff to put it up wasn't there, but now it is. I'm late. That means I don't get any pay at all today. Oh, wait a minute. It doesn't matter.
We're not getting paid? What?
You know. Yeah, really. Anyway, I thought you might miss me if I missed the first hour of the show and say, wow. Listen, did you, one thing I wanted, it's repeated if you've already talked about. If Nick Scutari, your prosecutor, did not show up.
No, he did not show
No,
up.
you mentioned that, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he
okay.
didn't show up. Very upset.
What does that mean?
It means I'm going to reschedule to see him in 2 weeks, and hopefully I'll see him. But the judge said I
What
can't.
happens if you don't make it?
Right. I get a bench warrant.
Well, this is like, you know, the question is, you actually, I would think, have a right to know why he didn't make it. I mean, was it something that came up? Not specifics of it, just what was more important than what would get me a bench warrant? And you'd like to know. I mean, you know, does he say why he can't come in, or does he just say, I'm not going to make it, reschedule?
Well, he has these fundraisers for his election.
But he
these
has
big
to. But he
dinners.
had to have weighed in somewhere. This is a public sort of records thing.
Well, probably a fundraiser somewhere.
Well, maybe, but he would still have had to have said why he canceled on you. I don't like it for that. I mean, I really wish it wasn't Nick Scutari. I wish it was somebody else. But no matter what, there's not. You know, you can't. How far do you have to go? How long did it take to go find out that there was nothing going on?
Yeah, spend a couple hours in court.
Yeah, but I mean, how long did it take you to get there?
40 minutes.
So, like, if they warned you an hour ahead of time, you could have saved all that trouble.
Yes.
But they didn't have an hour to warn you? They don't have your number? They got your number?
They sent
Could they call you?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. They sent a prosecutor, but it wasn't Nick. It was another prosecutor filling in for Nick, and I'm prepared for Nick Scutari. I'm not prepared for this
So
unnamed woman.
they had a prosecutor, but you turned him down?
Her.
Her.
I'm not prepared
I'm
for her.
sorry, I didn't mean to stereotype.
I know nothing of this woman. I'm prepared for Nick Scutari because Nick Scutari has dirty hands. I told the judge this, that Nick Scutari has no access for handicapped people at his tax-funded legislative office. And I said, I'm prepared for him, Your Honor, because he has dirty hands, and I'm prepared to fight him on this issue. And
But you
she
probably
agrees.
already covered this.
So, yes, I
Okay.
did. Multiple times.
Yeah, well, now multiple because of me. I was just trying to get the layout there. Well,
Cliff notes.
You know.
But this should have been gone months ago. The cops even said, this guy's on your side. What's going on here with this? I'm like, I know. Why am I here? What is he trying to get out of this with me? What's the goal here? $500 out of me? I've already taken $500 out
Well,
of
don't
Lincoln's.
surmise. See, like, you asked the good question, but then when you start
Yeah.
saying that and there's no cause and effect,
Okay.
what do you call it? It's hostile witness. You know.
Okay, so what do you want out of me?
Even it's just saying it. You stating the case is bare bones is, I think, the worst effect. I'm just saying when somebody editorializes, and rightfully so. Now let's talk about Christie and cannabis. You know, we're gonna say things and then editorialize. But when I write a really good letter to the editor, my best ones, I read it when I'm done, and I know that if 10,000 people read that, I'll bet 9,000 would say, this guy's a real asshole, dick, fill in the word. They're going to read it. So I don't have to call him any of that if I do my job leading up. And when you got fodder, ammunition like you do, it's picture Jon Stewart. Right? He would just present it, and all of a sudden the answer would be not where you think, and that in itself would be the statement. You know?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I don't know if this is podcast number 95 today. I might have said 95 last week. For those who are keeping count, score, and wondered why, get a life.
Get you off, Jim. Get you off.
Yes, get a life.
Yeah.
Get a life and listen to our
So, you know, that it's coming to a close, quite frankly. I really like that the regularity is coming to a close. I really, really do. But that they do know who we are here. Legislators know, the police know. You know, we can come back for anything that warrants a good podcast.
Sure.
When you see it coming up. You know, there'd always be something to talk about then. So I'm sure, you know, up to you, but I'm sure I'm not adverse to doing more, just not the regular basis, not the Thursday season, two-thirds of the year.
I can't do this.
It's been
can't.
two-thirds. This is the third year. It's been two-thirds of.
Yeah, I'm
that
holding
year.
up good this year. Normally I'm on the ground by now.
Yeah.
And I'm holding up. So
And it was an
good.
alternative therapy that's not illegal.
It's helping me. This friggin' acupuncture is helping me. It's great. It's amazing. I love it. Danny, do me a favor. Please put that coffee on the.
Oh, yeah.
Please. Yeah,
No
I'm just
open
staring
containers.
at the, I'm gonna. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm gonna cry right
Told
now.
me like 100 times.
I'm,
Yeah.
You should give up by now.
I'm
Well,
crying
could-
inside right now.
Could have told you 94 anyway, because this is podcast
Yeah,
95.
95
so,
times,
yeah.
Danny. I've told you. Actually, we're keeping count.
95.
Not that we're keeping count, but we are.
So we got an election coming up. How long? That's
Oh, very soon, actually. Yeah.
2 weeks from Tuesday.
Is it that? Is it 2 weeks from Tuesday already?
Yeah, we're into the less than 3 weeks now.
Wow.
I'm guessing. It's the 18th. No, carry the one. Yeah, that's what it is.
That could be why Scutari won't meet with me. That could.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Well, you know, the election's going to be done, and we still have a lame Christie.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it a lame duck? What did I say? Lame Christie?
I could make a lot of jokes right now, but I won't.
I got a lot of questions today.
What's that? Hold on. Here you go. What's your question?
Daniel
And
Brady
do not say test. Do not
has a
tap
lot
the
of-
mic. Do not do anything.
Has questions.
Just
Put finger on the button.
Just go.
Can I say Rumpelstiltskin?
Yes,
You can say Rumpelstiltskin. Did he smoke marijuana? You know,
Wait, I got them all written up.
maybe when he went to sleep and he woke up, it was legal. That's what I've used Rumpelstiltskin talking about that before. It's not just like you go to sleep for a long time and wake up and it's changed.
What do you got there,
If he
Danny?
did now. He's got a question written down.
Oh my God, he's written it out.
Okay, here we go.
Oh jeez.
Now you know the parameters.
All right.
You've been here this many times.
Okay.
Lefty's fingers really close to the
Ready?
button.
Okay. Ready?
Does marijuana make you horny?
Oh.
For many people.
Wait. Stop.
No.
Back it up.
No, that's
Okay.
not the
Back
question.
it up.
That's not the question.
That's pertinent, but I wouldn't do it like blasting out of the courtyard right now today.
Don't need to go there.
Okay, so basically,
Yes. Next question.
that's the next one. But Daniel, listen to me carefully.
Yeah.
Next one, it's mic's off.
Come on.
No, seriously,
Give us a good one.
you can't take
Good one.
back words. You know, and so
Yeah,
we
it's like-
can't let you do that because this is really on kind of loud today. I mean, not louder than anybody else. Sometimes we keep it a little more private.
So if I flub it, I'm going to get pushed off the edge of the earth.
Well, no, you're just not going to be heard through the sound system.
Okay.
Anymore.
So there was a caucus of assemblymen who took a trip to Colorado a while ago.
True.
I suspect Sakarla
Scutari?
Senator Scutari
Yes.
was part of that.
Nilsa Cruz.
to investigate their marijuana distribution systems.
Correct.
Yes.
Why
Why do we model Colorado?
Why don't we? Why should we
No.
follow that example? Is that what you're saying?
No. Are we going to have a unique system?
Unfortunately, we always have a unique
Yeah.
system. It's the worst. We're going to have the worst again. It will be unique until somebody does it worse, which is what happened with the medical law. No, really, 13 had better. We were the first ones to have no home grow for patients. And now we're going to be the first state to legalize for social adult use. It's
With
going to have
no
home grow again. So is that to say, like, we didn't make the point clear how
Right.
wrong that was
It's
and how
not
much
freedom.
it hurt patients?
I want freedom. That's not freedom.
But quite
Okay.
frankly, it's going to get patients legalization. That's a prediction, not a guarantee. But it's going to get patients the ability to grow because they have an incredible gripe now that they had the rug pulled out. Senator Scutari introduced the medical bill in the Senate in 2009. It had a provision that you could grow 6 adult plants and possess 2 ounces of dried usable material. That was his bill. That was what he wanted to get passed for patients. Now he wants to get a legalization bill passed that doesn't include home grow for the same patients that had such hope that if at least they were adults, they could finally get cannabis, they could grow it. You know, and then that was, of course, not put into this bill. So patients, including me, I'm a patient, would have a very good cause to be very vocal and demand a bill, a parallel bill, or an addition to this legalization thing, saying we're going to go back to the model that passed out of the Senate Health Committee, and then it passed on the full floor of the Senate. It was done in the Senate. It got yanked out by doctor, practicing physician, Herb Conaway. It got yanked out by him, as well as pain being an indication, which has cost countless lives to addiction for that being pulled out. But that's a whole nother thing. I'm just saying that's a very good question. And I also think that it gives them a way to say, let's look at what do we have, 14,000 patients and maybe 3,000 are dead, so they don't count or whatever. But there could be up to 10,000 people that could be legislated to grow patients in the program, and it would be kind of good for the program too, because when it gets legal, at least patients would have the right to grow their own and get clones and whatever system was set up, so they could grow something that they at least was assessed as a mother plant and, you know, have a good direction. I think we have a chance at that. I really, really do. And the Coalition for Medical Marijuana as an organization is very much behind that and ready to make that an issue. So are patients going to kind of rally around? And I don't mean physically. I mean take part, just telling their story in a way it needs to be told, that there can be a line of stories and then it can be cross-referenced. Oh, I want to hear what people with MS have to think. And son of a bitch, there would be dozens, you know. We have the technology, but we're stretched pretty thin. I mean, advocacy organizations and, you know, the podcast couldn't be stretched more thin. It's Lefty. I bring some stuff I messed up today. In my defense, it's one for the home team that I messed up. I did not have any of my medicine before packing and leaving. Pretty traditional in the morning. I want to see what the pain level is naturally, and then I take care of it. So I didn't take care of it till, as you know, in the car, in the driveway, and then I left, according to law. And then I got here and realized I don't have it, but I looked for it without being high or medicated. I didn't think about it. I never once forgot that. And so there, take that. I forget things and do dumb crap even when I'm not medicated.
Slap my hand.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, what do you think of that? Do you think we could get it for patients, even if it's not good for social adult use? By the way, every time I say that, I got to say, notice I say social adult use.
I like
adult.
that.
It'll roll off your tongue, and I'm telling you, when it comes time to talk people into it, it's for the social adult use, social use by adults. It's easy, however you say it, and nobody misinterprets what that means.
My next question is an answer to your question.
Oh, this is
Wait,
blowing my mind.
Wait, your
man.
question is an answer?
Yeah.
Is there a question mark after it?
No.
That's so amazing. It makes me want to cry. I got to put my head down.
A semicolon. Wait,
Semicolon?
Wait, Jim, here you go. Jim, if they decriminalize grass, what's wrong with decriminalization? You can grow a plant or two in your backyard, right?
Well, other states, right? Not New Jersey.
So if they decriminalize it here, you'll still be criminally responsible if you grow one in your backyard.
Yeah, that would be that would be an elevated offense statute. Well, that would be worked out, you know, during the statutory process.
It's not fair.
No, it's never going to be fair. Let's start with that. Rule 1, it's not fair.
Rule
Rule 2, it's never gonna be fair. You know, so that's why we do this. That's why they don't have to go to my house to make a point. You know, so you gotta play where you can, and
That's right. We're not fair either.
and be ready, I might say, because I would use the example of somebody in Oklahoma that finally cornered Senator Leah Vukmir, and that sounds evil, Leah Vukmir.
Leo Vukmir is a
Leah
person?
Vukmir is the one that was just so against medical marijuana and the
Wow.
Jackie Ricker Medical Marijuana
Evil
Act for all
villain.
these years. And I saw a video of somebody I know that got lucky. Just happened, you know, you walk into the office and then she walked in and had the camera going. And Leo Vukmir was good enough to sit like on the edge of the corner of a desk, you know, 1 foot on the floor, and the question and discussion and answer went on like maybe 8 minutes. And
On the corner of the desk?
and she looked so confident because she was smacking back these lobs at like stuff like, what gives you the right if we can't? It's all, the person was not ready for that, you know. That's like, what do we do this morning if Lieutenant Kim should walk by and you have to have one question? Today's question, we already have it figured out. One is we have a Schedule 1 classification for cannabis in New Jersey that says it has no medical utility, and yet we have a medical marijuana law. Do you see where that's not right, and are you willing to do something to rectify it while you are still Lieutenant Governor? Would you look into this? The Division of Consumer Affairs. The coalition's been going back and forth with them for 4 years now about this. So that's all. See, that's not what she's expecting. Why don't you support legalization? What have you ever done for decriminalization? How have you supported? That's what she expects. What she's not expecting is a parallel question. But would you be willing to? Because she says she supports decrim, but she's never done anything to support it. So
How so?
Now she could say, I support the scheduling in New Jersey being changed. But if she says that, we say, thank you. What are we looking forward to you doing? Because you're lieutenant governor. I mean, do you do anything as lieutenant governor? What do you do if you can't just like call them, because they do not respect the Coalition for Medical Marijuana, and to the point where it's like, yes, that does not make sense. No, we're not going to change it. You know, let her call on a commission or something while she's doing this. It's only going to help her in an election, you know. Don't want to give her too good of an idea, though. Yeah, don't want her to win the election. We don't mind if she does a little better. But I'm speaking as Jim Miller, NODIS, co-founder of the Coalition for Medical Marijuana, 501c3 charitable organization in good standing with state of New Jersey for over a decade.
I was waiting for that before. You didn't do it.
And just interesting thoughts.
Got a hand on the button. I don't trust him.
Question.
Don't trust
I'm thinking about the open source for marijuana that is around Trenton at the present time.
What does that mean? Open source.
That means guys hustling grass on the corner.
Okay.
Black
You
market. could
just say that. I like that better.
Yeah.
You do.
And grass, I like that because
Right.
I haven't heard that since I
Yeah.
was young.
Yeah. I
And
like
you
that
got me
better.
like by what, maybe 4
Well,
years.
here's
Slinging
one question.
grass.
Why is marijuana racist when marijuana translates into Mary Jane? And
It was used for racism.
Yeah.
Jason, here you go.
No, marijuana.
The word marijuana
Perfect.
is a fictitious name, like it was made up. The word marijuana never existed before. What's his name, everyone?
Harry Anslinger?
Harry Anslinger.
Thank
right
you.
behind you.
Yes.
Don't put your butt in my face while you're talking.
Yeah, the term,
Our
the
cameraman,
word
Harry.
marijuana, it was,
it was spelled with an H,
yeah,
wasn't
it was supposed to be a Mexican term, but the natives of Mexico, like, they never used the term marijuana. It was a completely fictitious, made-up word.
And it was spelled with an H at once.
And
Yes.
then, you know.
Yeah,
and-
I knew it was spelled with an H.
But that's close to their what would be a Spanish equivalent of Mary Jane, as far as Anglos figure it. So we if you call it marijuana, we'll call it Mary Jane, close enough, you know. Which and now a real quick sidebar. I haven't got it done yet, but I am going to go get a page of my records for when I was in hospital. 4 times and having a dozen surgeries. And in one of them, the morning surgery is push back, way back. And I'm all by myself in the pre-op room. Woman comes in like has done a dozen times before, picks up the clipboard, and then she goes, "Oh, okay, my name is Mary Jane." And I'm starting to smile, and she goes, "And we'll get started." And she looked.
Oh, sorry.
And then she looks up at the clock, and she goes, "Okay, it's 4:20." And I'm thinking, how could this be a joke? I mean, you know, who's doing this? But her name was Mary Jane, and it was filled out at 4:20 for that operation. It's got to be on a form. I want it. Now, but then you see, I got people come in all day long to hospital. I need a specific part of my records. Yes, how can I help you? Do you know the day? No, it's one of 12 operations I had, and somebody named Mary Jane filled out something at 4:20, and I want that page that says that, because that's like all about cannabis, and I'm a patient, and I want it. I don't care if it's, what is they going to say, not a good enough reason? It's my record. I want to see my entire record then. I got all day. It's what I do.
Okay, so if all this
It's about cannabis. I can, you know, totally digress as long as it's about cannabis.
wouldn't you think that right after, if we get legalization through, is it Bill or Phil Murphy?
Phil.
Oh.
It'll be
Okay.
Phil Bill.
That changes my whole argument now.
It's not Murphyski, is it? No, it's Murphy. Okay.
I was going to say
Okay,
something
now
about
if-
Bill's Bill, and it doesn't sound as good when I call it Phil's
Bill's-
Bill. Oh, wait, Phil's Bill's even better. Yes, what about Phil's Bill?
What I'm saying is that if you were the wholesaler to the street corner distributor.
Okay.
That was just funny, taking the mic away for emphasis.
I'm just digging your mic skills today, Danny.
Get ready.
No, that was
Get
good.
ready.
That was good.
Yeah.
No, you're good today. You're
No,
on. You're on
get ready.
point.
Okay.
No. He's warning you. Get
Oh,
ready.
get ready. Oh, get ready.
Don't forget my first question.
No, we're by it. Your first question was awesome, but what do you got now?
Okay.
You're doing pretty good.
Okay. Now, Mr. Murphy is going to put in a bill. Okay, he's going to get it passed, and grass is going to be legalized. At some point, it will be put into actual
Well, wait,
process.
he's going to pass someone's bill, right?
He's going to sign
He's going
someone's
to
bill.
sign one of the bills, I
Right.
guess, right?
He
Okay.
stands ready to sign a bill.
Now, do you think that after the bill is legalized, that if you were the wholesaler distributor to the people on the street corners, that you could expect like a
No. There's no wholesale distribution going to go to dealers on street corners.
No.
No, wait. You know what?
No,
Six
you didn't
dispensaries.
hear my question.
We have 6 dispensaries.
Yeah,
that
but
take them.
no. But here's
But my question,
yeah.
you're missing my question. Would you, if you were a thinking person, would you think that there might be a sudden massive crackdown on illegal substances, marijuana?
No. Won't be worth it.
It would be pointless, though, because they're all going to get off if they're nonviolent when arrested.
Well, yeah. I mean, it'll be a very low-level thing. It'll take very little cost on the administrative part.
Yeah.
And it'll not screw up people's lives where they can't get loans or go to school or have kids or live in public
Yeah.
housing or anything like that.
Yeah,
you know?
just minor details in life that you have to worry
Yeah,
about.
the little things. But what you said before,
and shelter.
I would add that our lieutenant governor did opine. I read in NJ.com, the Star Ledger's online presence, that she didn't see the point in legalizing drug dealers. Legalizing drug dealers, as if marijuana, people who sell it are drug dealers. Okay, she could go ahead and make a bridge to that.
I have to tell
right,
you.
she could. But if that's what she's doing, to insinuate that legalization means now people will be legally selling it on street corners, it's disingenuous, and it's done to get a pushback of some sort from, anything. She has to say why she's not for legalization,
Yeah, why?
But she talks about it. Then, of course, that she may not be getting what she wants from her
Come on over.
electorate, but actually she's not.
Come on over.
She
Have a
doesn't
seat.
have an electorate.
How you doing? How are you? I'm Lefty. I think we met before. Yeah. Yeah. What's your name?
Ed DeVoe.
Welcome.
Ed DeVoe.
Yeah.
Hi. Nice to see you.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, man.
What's going on with you?
All's well, all's well. If you guys recall, I'm Scott Rudder's partner at
I
Burton
know there's an
Public Affairs,
association. I
Yes.
didn't realize it was that
and helping
direct.
Scott out with New Jersey Canna Business.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You're at the right table.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. How's that going, the kind of business?
You know what?
Guys are busy.
We're very busy. We had a very successful conference just a few weeks ago. We met up in Union. We had over 400 people attend. It was a great collaborative effort between not only New Jersey Canna Business, but we had the athletes that are for cannabis in terms of alternatives to opioids to treat their injuries.
I saw that.
And-
Riley.
yes.
Riley
Yep.
Coate.
That's right.
Yeah, he's great.
So they are outspoken.
Cote.
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 Sorry, he's from Canada. He's Canadian. Sorry. I'm American.
That's
Cote.
right. Speak American. Right? So that's something that
There's no
right after
there's no
that.
wall up there, by the way. Keep it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of excitement behind just what the pros are.
Just that. I'm surprised and pleased at the number of because Ken Wolski had mentioned this at the last Coalition monthly meeting, and everybody was quite thrilled to hear, and the enthusiasm and the process seems to be accelerating still nicely. I mean, as hoped.
Yes, that's right. It's been a long time debate, and there have been there's been such back and forth, but right now we are really at the point where there is scientific, medical evidence, and that's what's coming to the forefront. This is no longer just an emotional argument. This is no longer just a spiritual do's and don'ts. This is really scientific, and people are getting into it.
To an old timer like myself, doing this for over a quarter century, back a quarter century ago, I was trying to make it all about let's get the testing done, and the people going my way were, there's no need for testing, there's enough. I said, no, you're always going to need that and everything else. It's not either or.
That's
and
right.
I knew this day would come. Just what you described, I was sitting here thinking, this is the day I envisioned that long ago where you cannot keep it a secret.
That's right.
You can't keep the science that does exist, And the National MS Society did a lot since 1988 to about the late 90s to not take part in a discussion because they were the largest research organization and not doing it. Mm-hmm. But then the Canadian Society, the British MS Society,
Right.
Right. Other people are we do accept clinical gold standard tests from
and that's
from
taken the
countries.
Conversation to a whole new level.
Yeah. Well, you guys are taking the conversation to a whole new level. That's what's going on. Look at you. This is what I call the cannabis business, and I always joke with Bill Caruso about New Jersey United for Marijuana Reform.
Right.
You guys are the suit and tie brigade. Where have you been? We've needed you all along. Some of us, I dress up. When I need to go in, but I got a wooden tie, and I wear my wooden tie. I mean, you are the person I want to go in and make my point. Scott, others, Dr. Medvedovsky. I mean, there's a lot of people involved that I am having such a pleasure. I'm 65. I'm stepping back. And I feel like we're really in good hands overall. And a lot of that, there's people going to be finding fault with sometimes, the next thing or why aren't we included? And I'm like, everybody could be included, but the Cannabis Business Association saw this coming.
Yes.
Planned on it. You got your core group started that others could say, well, if these guys are involved, I can be involved,
Right.
Did it great. It's a good model.
Well, to co-opt, if I may, two points. One is I'll co-opt the LGBT communities. The suits and ties are coming out, right?
Yeah.
They're coming out of
Big
the closet.
time.
These are the folks that actually were afraid to say yes.
Well, you had a lot to lose,
And there was a real concern, and there still is, on some level, with respect to if I'm a professional, I can't take this outside, and I can't be open about my use of cannabis. And that's even on the medical side. So what New Jersey Cannabis Business is doing, and you guys have been way ahead of the curve on this, so thank you for your leadership. So on one level, you have the suits and ties that are now saying I can come out, right? And they can say I'm a user, right? The second thing I want to talk about, and when you talked about who's actually leading the discussion and where do folks fall in this. A couple of months ago, Scott and I had talked about this very subject, and one of the things that we did was we had a discussion. He didn't want to lead New Jersey Cannabis Business without talking about it with his business partners. And he came to me and he says, look, Ed, I know you're an ordained deacon in the Baptist church. And I thought about, number one, just how pleasant it was to have him respect me enough to say, what do you think? And I actually wrote this on our LinkedIn or on LinkedIn, and I kind of put all my thoughts together. But the short of it is this, that even as an ordained deacon, number one, you can't pass judgment. You can't pass judgment on someone's decision on how they treat their lifestyle. and what lifestyle they adopt. So there's no judgment. The second thing is, and this is what I would share with anyone, is whatever the laws are, that's the law. And if the laws change, and hopefully so, to allow legal use and clearly expand the medical definitions of use, then guess what? If you choose to use cannabis, that's your choice.
I like that. That rolled off your tongue. Nice.
And so I have no position, ordained or not, to take a position to vilify you for your choice. And this is where I think, again, thank you for your decades of leadership in this area, and thank you for making the discussion what it is. But I can sit here in honesty and complete sincerity and say I can back this discussion. I can absolutely support my partner Scott Rutter in his endeavor, and take this conversation to the next level because it's the right thing to do. And whether or not I use,
it's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant
Totally.
to the fact that there is
it's not mandatory.
medical.
You
That's
know,
right. It's not mandatory.
Not mandatory. You all have to,
and that
or you'll
there's
be in trouble.
the medical, and
join
now
our
that
team.
there's economic evidence that this is good. So.
Yeah,
So those are just a couple of points I just wanted to share.
The criminal justice aspect of it is going to be, I think, way bigger than people realize, and it may take more years than I have to see it happen. But I think when people actually looking back on this time period, you know, they're going to see that they're going to have respect for what people like Daniel's age and I went through doing this from the 60s and 70s on up, you know, where it was first kind of bad and then, well, not so bad, and then 1981 it's way worse, and then, you know, the whole roller coaster ride.
That's right.
And I got to tell you, one thing, having become a patient 3 weeks ago, I still look in my mirror. I am conscious of where law enforcement is when I'm driving, because I don't want to be stopped. My car's legal. I'm legal as can be, and now I'm legal. I have everything in my case.
Right.
Don't know where my case is, but
well, you know, just like with anything else, there has to be a paradigm shift, right? We look at cannabis. There are a ton of other public policy issues that are out there that need a paradigm shift. One could look at education, right, and how we conduct education in the state of New Jersey. And say, man, you know, how dare you vilify charter schools? Your paradigm of how you teach to the test is failed. So you've got to do something different.
How did you come around as a pastor to cannabis? Because most pastors that I've talked to are totally against cannabis. It's a gateway drug, it's this, it's that. How did you come around as a pastor and come into terms with that?
Well, thank you. And again, just for clarification, I'm a deacon and not a pastor. But no, I appreciate that. I haven't been promoted yet. So
you should be.
So I oh, okay.
Why? Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So how did I come to this conclusion? It really is part of the spiritual journey, and that is when you look at laws. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that you should disobey the laws of the state. So if I adopt that philosophy, and the laws happen to say that this is legal, then I can accept that, and I should accept it. And again, the notion is that just because it makes it legal doesn't mean I have to be involved if I choose not to. The same thing exists today for alcohol, and I think I said it in my piece. You know, we can debate whether an 18-year-old who signs up to serve in the armed forces should be able to buy alcohol. You can debate that all day, but the law is what it is. And until the law changes, the 18-year-old that signs up to serve in the armed forces, you can't drink. Not until you're 21, period.
I got it. I was on my way to Vietnam, and I was here about, and I went out with some friends to have a beer, and I was 21, but I didn't have a clear enough identification because I'd been in Germany for a year. I couldn't buy a beer. A couple days later,
and
I
you know,
went to
and
them.
that's just the way it is. So to me, the philosophical and the spiritual tell-all is, I can stand with confidence that whatever decisions that I make are my decisions, and yet, if you have the ability legally to do certain things, how dare I define you by that, or how dare I judge you on that? So from my spiritual growth, from my spiritual position, I say, look, if the end game is to make sure that people get better by avoiding opioid addiction, and if you can treat some of the maladies that are out there through cannabis, then it makes sense, and I don't have a reason to stand in your way.
Is there evidence in the Bible for cannabis use? Do you see any?
I would look. There are people that have gone and they've said, right, and so certain interpretations, right, that there are herbs, right, and
Right,
that
like
there are
anointing oil.
natural things that
Yeah.
are out there, right? I couldn't tell you myself if that was Egyptian cannabis or
Right.
you know, I wouldn't go that far, but I would simply say that when it comes to issues of spirituality, and we're looking for definitions, again, and it's kind of joking that people say, well, I drink because Jesus turned water into wine, right? So therefore I drink. Well, the Bible does say that you can, but just not to excess, right? So if you take that interpretation, and then you could say, well, I can enjoy and I can imbibe in adult beverage without becoming intoxicated and putting other people's lives in danger, right? So you take the cannabis argument or discussion and you take it to that level, and first again you say, well, what does the law say? And my first response is, well, obey the law. The second response is, well, if the law changes and if there are those people that are out there that are looking to change the law, I don't have a right to stand in your way, because you're entitled to go for what you know or what you think is best.
And then, me, I find the third option all the time, and a third option would be, from an experience I've had, that if the law being obeyed is sincerely believed to be an unjust law, and in your heart you know there's a better purpose, that we have a moral obligation to disobey unjust law with a willingness to accept the consequences.
And I do think that that's open to interpretation. I
that's
do,
my
and
interpretation.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah, but
it really is, because
I've acted on that, like giving my wife marijuana in a congressman's office from her wheelchair, and she could only move her head. It was like, I wasn't playing fair then. She wasn't playing fair then. And the law was keeping her from being as well as could be, and it was not getting a fair discussion, so we went right there.
Yeah, and I think in some of my earlier comments, I do refer to unjust laws, right? And so you look and you say, but this is not a Jim Crow situation. This is not where you are intentionally singling out people of color.
Fair point.
Or people that are indigent, right? So it get that out of
You're talking about
way.
the drug war doesn't single out?
No, he's talking about that this was a question posed to Dr. Martin Luther King.
Okay. Right.
And in letter from Birmingham jail. But he is, this is why I'm saying, good point. This was the context of the question.
That's right.
And a very, very good point about not singling people out because of their color. And, really, individuals in what we do are singled out, but not people. Like, we're not singled out equally as people of color were singled out equally, whether you were an activist or just happened to be on the street. You know, it was equal bad.
And Lefty, where I think you were going was, okay, the laws today are unjustly carried out. The law in and of itself is not unjust, but it's how we carry it out that makes the difference.
It ruins kids' lives. They got a marijuana arrest. I don't know. Let's put them in 7th grade, maybe, or high school kids. But wow,
college
try to get
loans.
into a rich college. Try to get into.
But when you
try to find some.
Dan, when I was in court yesterday, they had these 2 black guys on rolling papers. They charged them with rolling papers.
Are you kidding?
Really? The week before, they had a guy for jaywalking, a black guy for jaywalking. You don't see that in the white community. You just don't see that kind of stuff. And I told these guys, I'm like, you guys got to get a card, man.
Look,
they must hide it. They hide it because they're ashamed.
There are definitely issues that that go way beyond the discussion as to whether or not we should have medical marijuana, whether or not marijuana should be legalized.
Yeah.
There are bigger fish out there in terms of just equality, justice,
and for all of us too.
And it's for all of us.
I mean, in other words, there's bigger issues for law enforcement, other people who just don't want this happen, and they need to turn their attention to them. But
ISIS,
terrorism. There are issues in my own life that sometimes I have to actually often ask myself, how much effort do I want to put in this, because it's keeping me away from other stuff, which is why the weekly podcast after its 3rd year will cease on Thanksgiving. We're going to be on Thanksgiving. Before we go to our own Thanksgivings, we're going to have a 100th podcast on Thanksgiving. Thanks City of Trenton for putting up with us, but
cool.
It's
But I see where you're going, and I do understand. That's part of the problem too. Everyone has to understand, right? People need to be educated before they take a side. Please be educated on the subject matter.
That's a tough beginning.
When you cross that line of education, where is that line?
Right.
We want to just what we have to do to achieve dialogue. Basically, I'll get blunt to the point. It's because we're right and they're wrong, and we know it and they know it won't go good.
Right.
So we don't really end up with it. There's very few people who will do it. Like the late Terry Farley, my nemesis for like 15, 20 years even, was never afraid to have a conversation. Very few people like that. David Evans was afraid to have conversations. He pick and chose. Terry Farley showed up, and I'm not saying he did good, but he didn't get caught a lot, and I had respect for him for that, because we do this because we cannot get the discussion another way. I mean, this is not the front door. Right. I've made efforts with legislators through constituents for decades, and it's just easier sometimes to be that weekly presence.
Look,
now.
You're talking to a guy who's been involved in public policy, dare I say, over 30 years.
Oh man, well you teach me a thing or two.
Yeah. I'll be 55.
I should be asking
I'll be 55
you
November 3rd. I'll be 55.
Wow.
No.
And,
now I hate
you. And the bigger issues when you talk about it are civility, just being civil. And when you come here and you're in front of the annex, you're nearby the State House, and you wonder what the heck happened to civility.
Yeah.
And this is one of those, and I think you're successful at it, by the way, at bringing back civility to public discourse.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And this has become one of those because we have taken the emotion out of it, because there is science behind it.
Yeah.
And the suits can sit here and discuss it. So you've helped bring back civility. Maybe it's because it's such a mellow topic,
but you know, and I might say, and what do I say? How often have I said, when we invite somebody, we promise them 2 things: equal time and civility. That's it. And Lefty, why do we got to be civil? But that's his part. He, you know, when they sit down
we
and
like
when he
him.
was on
He's
the
all
call.
right.
No, but he plays that part a little bit because he's so used to it. But he's had his greatest success being the one that's right and the voice lowered because, you know, all of a sudden people go, holy crap, he's not stupid, he's actually smart.
Smart.
Yeah,
Yes,
you scare
yes.
people then.
That's
But
right.
it was the equal time. But still,
That's
we
right.
do not get people to the table
Right.
as much as we'd like. We even set up the table sign.
Right.
Had this set up with a sign on it that said the table, and we had a governor Christie place setting and my place setting, and it, you know, waiting for him to walk by our table. Did he ever walk by our table? I think he did one time. Totally ignored us though that time. I think that was the day Leo was sitting down. We had our table out. First time we met.
Well, that's
But
cool.
It's
So
but it is civility. Why is that? And it's not getting easier now. There's a climate of the opposite of civility nationally.
Yeah,
it's stirring now.
It is toxic.
Yeah, it is
So
toxic.
Let's
Yeah.
be real. It's
Yeah.
it's a toxic national climate.
but-
And I used the analogy just last night in a discussion that the atomic bomb has gone off, and now you're dealing with fallout, and it is going to affect us for years, just like that atomic bomb affected Japan for years,
Yeah.
for decades, and unfortunately, the lid off of the Pandora's box has been pried open,
It is.
and we're going to be dealing with issues that we thought we had suppressed 50 years ago.
Yeah.
We're going to be dealing with them once again.
You
So it is a toxic climate, and of all the subject matter that we can be discussing, I think cannabis is probably one of the better ones that brings everybody to the table. It brings the suits, it brings law enforcement, it brings the casual set. It is something that really can be useful in terms of economic discussions, in terms of equality and justice questions, and you guys are again leading the way. And so hopefully
That's kind of
this-
sad in a way, though, too. I appreciate
know?
it, but you know,
Hey, look.
there's something real wrong about
know?
that. But we'll take it, you know, because that's what we're
That's
trying
it.
to do. Is
Right.
there's an absence, or was an absence, of people willing to do this, and this is why I've done what I've done for a long time.
That's right.
But it is now everything you're talking about that makes me breathe a big sigh of relief that.
Sure.
You know, I felt like a gatekeeper more than anything for a while, just to be there.
Yeah.
And in the 3 years that we've been doing this here, actually a fourth as a protest, not podcast,
Right.
we've seen the change. It's incredible to see how far things have come in public perception about all we're talking about.
Which is a beautiful thing,
It is.
and I certainly hope that, and I'll extend the invitation, if you don't mind, to actual clergy and say, okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a real discussion. Let's talk about it like we needed to talk about premarital sex, like we needed to talk about teen pregnancy, because those things are realities in our communities. So let's get real about it. Let's address it right now before you have issues that are way beyond your control. At least be part of the discussion.
Do you
right?
do you see a path to that?
Oh, absolutely. I would hope that I'm the start.
Yeah.
I hope I've made
Was it-
someone who wears the collar.
It was just somewhat of a
jealous.
rhetorical question, but I'm trying to get you on the hook for this, really, a
Yes,
little
yeah.
more. I'm
Well,
trying,
I am.
because
I'm
I
gonna-
want. We got video, you know. We store this.
Well, I certainly will extend the invitation because,
Yeah.
again, I think it's an issue because if you're going to talk about social justice from the pulpit, then you need to talk about this inclusive because it's all together.
Great word, and I'm going to throw you a curveball right now. This is not about cannabis. When you talk about inclusive, over here there's a wheelchair behind Dan. If you look across the street from State House here, in the capital city of our state, you see that wheelchair cannot get into any of those businesses over there. Not one.
No, they're
all-
not businesses, but it is a fair
Well,
point.
there's lawyers, there's a couple of community activism people. What do we do about that problem? That's a big problem all over the state, and I hear it's really bad.
No, that's a great question.
It is.
And we thought that, and when I say we, us public policy wonks, right? We thought we had the answer with the ADA, the American with Disabilities Act. We thought that that was going to be somewhat the cure-all, right? There was language in there that said, oh, you need to modify physical structures so that you could provide access. And then somebody got language in there that said, well, you just need to make the service accessible. So you don't necessarily need to enter my office, but if I can get to you somewhere, that would be the resolve. So there was a legitimate attempt, I'll call it a legitimate attempt through the ADA. And look, municipalities will always cry poverty when it comes to make a change, right? Especially when it comes to physical plant. We don't have the money. Who pays for it, right? That's always the question, who pays for it, regardless of the issue. So I think ADA is something, you got the basic laws, right? You got the base case approved. What you need to do now is take a look at those instances where people are not compliant and call them on it. And you also need to be able to say, if I can't get to you, how do you get the service to me? And I do believe that that's part of the language that was there. In fact, coming from my government background, it was, well, if I can't make it to the mayor's office, can someone come down and meet me and get my statement or take my complaint? And that was part of the solution. At least be accessible. If you can't make the space accessible, then make the service accessible.
Now, in making that accessible, there are times, I'm having had a wife that in a wheelchair for 19 years, that they would make accommodations to get her in, and I was fine with that. We were fine with that. We went to the White Dog Cafe in Philadelphia, in Old Brownstone, beautiful place. And, you know, they had the people that would come, and, you know, they wouldn't be like, well, here's a waiver we want you to sign. It was all just like, yeah, go ahead, you know, where to grab it, where not to grab it, and they hustled her in. But it also involved, okay, they had to move some tables out of the way where people were sitting and stuff. See, this was Cheryl, and if you didn't know Cheryl, you know, if you did, you would right away know she wouldn't care at all. She'd be smiling and saying hi to people, and, you know, ooh, that looks good, you know, when you get on by. But some people find that, like, there are also other people would be, well, I have a right to dignity too, or whatever. And, you know, the dividing lines are just so tough sometimes. When do you say, in Lefty's case, for as little as $50 at times, and we actually couldn't get that scooter very well up over there. It's about the same step up, maybe like the sidewalk here, into the businesses all along in Bayonne. And it could be as little as $50 for something that's not heavy, that can come and just put right there, right on in.
Right.
And it has had some successes.
Yeah. We got 5 ramps
but
in
then
Bayonne.
we're
Nice.
on the other
the hard way.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's somebody it's going to be, well, it's going to cost $75,000 to take
Well,
care
yeah,
of
like
this.
something like this. What do you do? You got brick, you got stone, you got it's historic buildings, you got to, you know.
So that's probably why the language morphed into something like what you were saying.
Available. Yeah.
Because you can't write it down in black and white and codify it with all the things you're going to run into.
But again, using your model, using your discussion model, look at what's occurred on the Jersey Shore and how now beaches have become accessible to physically challenged folks.
Yeah, they have
right?
those little boardwalks.
Yeah.
That
That's
go
right.
out
So
of
now
the-
you've got the portable ramps,
Wheelchairs
and
with the big wheels.
right? That can work in sand. But and why I credit you with part of that discussion is, it didn't happen because some bureaucrat thought of it.
Never
right?
does.
It happened because
People
there was
like
a
Jim.
family,
Yeah.
there was an individual that had
Yeah.
a need to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that was the mother of invention. So it's not, the solution isn't always going to come from the hallowed halls of the State House. The solutions are going to come from folks like you and I, who are just going to sit down and say, what if?
Here's the problem. When I went to the Bayonne Council meeting to complain about this problem, they said, well, you have to go to Trenton, talk to the people in Trenton. I said, okay, let me go talk to my assemblywoman, Angela McKnight. She's right in Jersey City. Surely she'll help us. We took the wheelchair up to her office, and she had a step and no ramp. And it was like, okay, and she's on the Health and Senior Services Committee that meets here every Thursday, which hasn't met in months. And that's a huge issue for me. If you're on the Health and Senior Service Committee and you don't even have a ramp for your own constituents to come in, and their tax-funded office, that's part of the problem right there. You get the government that's not helping this situation.
And the beauty of our system is that you can point that out, and you should point that out. And look, if you want to play the irony of it, I mean that absolutely.
It's like, come
but
on,
but
man.
but clearly there are issues. Like, it's not a perfect system, but it's the best one going.
But yeah, let's
right?
make it better.
So
We can
let's
do better.
make it better.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's fix it. Because, you know, I seen a 10-year-old kid in Bayonne with a helmet on, and his parents were so positive. The parents were just like, yeah, we know we can't go 2 blocks to get milk. We have to go 20. And they're just...
Was it a seizure concern?
He had seizures, and he was in a wheelchair. And I'm like, why do you make this family jump through these hoops? Why can't we do everything for them to make them just jump through less hoops in life? This kid's got his whole life ahead of him, and I can't imagine what he's going to have ahead of him with that, what's going on with him. So we got to do what we can for these people.
And
families.
again, I just appreciate you guys, and thank you for allowing me to say just a couple of things. And
No, you.
Yeah, thanks for shutting Jim up for a few minutes.
Yeah, really.
Appreciate
you know, everybody appreciates
Yeah,
that. But
yeah, but he'll be back.
He did so with unique conversation, not what gives anybody the right to tell me I can't grow a plant. All right, when you bring to the table what he brings to the table, I shut up because I have questions I want to ask that are not so much, well, this is my podcast duty to ask questions. It's like, I got an answer machine here for some things that I otherwise didn't have. And that...
Well, thank
that
you, guys.
I got to say, it was pointing out, well, you know, the comparison making to an unjust law against medical cannabis to Jim Crow, it was well-timed and shows me that I got to make sure I keep things in context so I could at least make that point as I make still the same point, that while it's not like that, I can start out saying the same things I always say and use that as a quick preamble, you know. So appreciate that. You're up on my game a little bit.
You got it.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks. I'll be back, guys.
Thanks so much,
Counting
man.
on it.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Awesome.
I'll tell you, we have our best podcast when we don't do any homework or we don't plan anything. And I figured out why. It's because people stop by that we'd have to make room in our segmented podcast for, where now we can go as long as we want, as opposed to, well, you know, we have to make a call right now. Thanks for stopping by. There's just so much more to talk about, you know. Doesn't happen.
Keeping that space open.
And having that flow is, and we have been justly rewarded for that 3 times out of 4 for the last month or more, or a couple months.
Most definitely, because it's all authentic. You know, it's straight passion, it's straight knowledge. It's nothing fabricated or you have to try to put together.
And I guess I'll even preface it by saying I believe that we are right and they, the opposition, are wrong. So it makes it more fun playing offense. You don't get to play offense when you're wrong. You play defense when you're wrong. And but defense is more natural. If you attack somebody, they'll fight back. I thought people would play offense more just because we have been attacked over years and it is time to fight back. But you know, I'm still surprised that we can't get, other than a couple hundred people together, to light up on the other side of the street and feel like we're doing a civil disobedience or something. It's just, I'm really hoping that we're about to turn a corner where people do say, hey, we got no target on our back for getting out. And when I hear somebody say we want to approach the clergy, a man that can, podcast score, we win. We could go home now, and this has been an incredibly beneficial
Wrap
day
it up.
that you don't
Time to
get.
go. Yeah, it was good.
And as much as I'm not going to miss the grind, the regularity on Thursdays. We do, I believe, agree that there are going to be certainly moments next year where it'll be a great day to have a podcast. We'll see it coming up more than a week ahead of time. We'll vote in committee, something going on, something. Right. And then we can all, you know, it'll take a little more social media, make sure everybody knows, but it won't be the last podcast here on Thanksgiving.
No, there'll be something.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, but
Something.
yeah. I mean, I'm a patient now. I can smoke right back. I haven't seen you since I've been a patient.
Hi, Karen. Hi.
Is your card current, Karen? Are you a current patient in the program or not?
No comment.
No
Oh,
comment?
no, you're not legal anymore. What happened?
I can't afford it.
Yeah.
You can't afford your card?
No.
Well,
Why?
that's a common. That's a fairly common happening.
They
What is
said
it?
too bad.
Too bad, so sad, bye-bye, right?
I couldn't pay $200 to renew, so.
Why do you have to pay $200? I thought it was
The-
20.
Oh, every 2 years that is.
No, not for me.
Not for you?
Okay, now for how often does that happen? Every 2 years?
Yes.
Okay.
This is my first renewal. Plus, I couldn't see the doctor either. Every 3 months. Can't afford it. It's too much.
You see, the fact that I'm Medicaid, it's $20, and my doctor's consideration is $50 each.
Yeah.
3 months that I have to, every 3 months I have to go there. So that makes it doable. I mean,
Yeah.
but seriously, what you're talking about is an amount of medicine.
Yeah.
And I found the irony of joining the program is the first thing that happened is I couldn't afford any medicine.
Yeah, that's. I wanted to say congratulations.
I spent it on being able to buy it, and now I couldn't buy it. You know. But
that's why,
people stepped in to make sure that I mean, people who love me did not want that irony to mean that I didn't have anything. Once we all realized the irony was, you know, I mean, I guess if you get married, you have a bachelor party, you have a baby, you have that. So I got a card.
Cannabis
people
card
here.
party.
Well, no, it was here's some money. Here's some money for your medicine. Here's some money for your medicine. Here's some money for your medicine. So through the goodness of friends and family.
Sure.
But there was that irony that, okay, I joined a program, now I can't afford medicine, where if I didn't, I could have, you know, gone to my source. But I do have fun now. Like I've left here before to go straight to the dispensary because, you know, I'm going to get on the road. I'm ready. And I just say, and he better be there, damn it. For all these years, it's a matter of, you better be there too. Are you sure he's home? Or she, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's home. I'm pretty sure I know what's available. And I'm pretty sure I know exactly how much I'm going to get, what it is. And
menu online.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure even when I drive back and I look up and I see a police with somebody stopped and the lights go off and he pulls out behind me, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pucker still. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is. It's almost like OCD or something, you know. It's become compulsive.
PTSD is real.
Yes, yes, and it won't go away either.
It's not. It's not. You know, it's really not. And I'm even telling myself, you know, you have it all in one place in its container with your card.
Yeah. See, for me, my only hope is legalization.
Yeah.
I can't afford the program. I can't afford a doctor. I just can't. There's a choice: medicine or doctor.
Sick.
Well, you know, we're gonna probably run through that.
90%
with our
of
news
the time,
director's walking up right now.
I can't even afford the medicine.
Mr. Wolski.
You know,
Yeah.
and you know, I'm disabled, but because I'm not on Medicare or Medicaid or anything like that, I'm not on state disability. So, too bad, so sad.
Rock, hard place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without a paddle.
They don't care. They don't care. Sorry. That's what I got. I'm like, please give me more time. Sorry.
No, they got guidelines, deadlines,
That's
rules, boundaries.
Yeah. I can. Yeah, so.
Ken
But
Wolski in the house. Welcome,
congratulations.
Ken Wolski.
Hi, Karen.
I was so excited that you got your card.
Yeah,
It's been a long
it's
time
still,
for you.
Yeah, you know, and it was the only reason it was. I was happy to go about my life the way I was. But I have a younger brother who has an unstable wife. And there's no way I can get in trouble for saying that because that's the polite way of putting it. But anyway, it involves that if he's staying at his dad's house, my stepdad, my mom died, so I go back and I stay there one night a week or whatever. And she characterizes me as a vile, degenerate, beer-drinking pothead. And to police, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, my brother Kevin, if you follow me, gets to say, He is not a vile, degenerate, beer-drinking pothead. He's a vile, degenerate, beer-drinking, medical marijuana card-holding patient. And then I made him promise that if that ever happens, Jim Ross no longer in the house. That if it comes down to that, and he gets to do that, and say it exact like that, that he has to go, oh yeah, Jim made me promise. Ta-da! That's it. That's all I ask in return, that he does that. Or whether, you know, it would have been in police presence with a complaint. I'm a patient now, and I still pucker when I get stopped. You know.
I'm excited for you.
Oddly enough, I think my feet are doing better.
That's
and
good.
I don't know what to attribute it to, because I usually didn't run out before, and I really can't afford a lot now.
Right.
But I think it's because I'm narrowing down. You know, I mean, I have my morning strain and my evening strain.
Right.
And I'm able to determine which ones seem to work better. And I never thought I'd say this, but it's kind of nice to get the pain relief with something that doesn't mess me up as much.
Yes.
And there are things, and I'm like, am I looking for something that gets me less high? Is this true?
Of course.
Oh, I don't know if I like the way that sounds.
For me, unfortunately, I drink, and it's getting to be like a little, not a problem, but I don't want to have a problem.
That's what people with problems say, Karen.
Yeah, I know. But I don't want to have a problem with alcohol, you know, and but that's where I go, because I don't take any opiates. I won't do it no more. So.
Well, between the two, boy, that's like not a great choice, but you know, it's probably the best choice, though, I would think.
Yeah.
Ken Wolski in the house.
Hello, Ken.
Ken is our unofficial, official, de facto news director. He comes with notes and a pen and a clipboard.
Well, I don't want to be rude.
Well, no.
But I need to stand because my back hurts.
Oh.
But I have a broken foot, so.
That's.
I'm more than the official news director. I'm also the official treasurer for CMMNJ. And we sold a couple T-shirts last week, and I just wanted to help defray some of the expenses involved with coming back and forth to the podcast.
That's
great.
You know,
great, Ken.
There actually are. Actually, I came twice today because I left this. I left that and one thing, and it was. I felt compelled. It's like, no, I'll not be here for the beginning. I got to go back. I can't sit here without that sign behind me. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It didn't seem to be streaming live on Facebook, so I didn't see the early morning part of the podcast.
Well, I wasn't here. You didn't miss anything. Don't worry. No, you know, when I came back, we had great representation already. I came back. You know, we occupied the place for a while there. I got pictures to prove it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you talk to the representatives, Jason and Laura, about the Trenton Cannabis Community Day?
Not while
November
I
1st?
Was here. I don't believe they snuck in before.
Get more information about that. That would be good, I think.
What's up, Laura Carter?
Hello. Hey, guys.
Hey, Laura.
So, what's next for Trenton Cannabis Community? We have a meeting scheduled for November 1st, which is a Wednesday from 7 to 8. And that's going to be at the Orchid House in downtown Trenton.
Where is the Orchid House?
Again, which day of the week?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It's on Hanover. It's across the street from Daylight Twilight.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it's a new, well, not so new.
Time?
But 7 to 8. Yeah.
7 to 8 p.m.
Yeah, and we're gonna shoot to do these monthly now. The first, I think that's the first Wednesday. Yeah, the first Wednesday of the month.
Yeah, I think the one thing that the coalition got right when we got started is having our meetings on with that regularity the second Tuesday of every month.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah. And it keeps us all on track of.
Right. It's easy to remember. It's easy to tell people,
Yep.
and and you know, all you have to do is show up.
Exactly.
Showing up.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and our plan with it is to give information, what legalization is looking like, where the bills are, the medical program, what that's looking like, give out information, how to break in the industry. You know, we're going to start doing cannabis education, like just simple this is THC, this is CBD, you know, the language, start, you know, just letting people know, you know.
Well,
get
making
ready.
it available, that's the start.
Right.
And then try to find that hot button that gets people, it gets it to grow. But I think the monthly regularity is pretty important in that as well, you know. It's never a question of when's the next one. You already know.
Right. And it's not all about, you know, just cannabis. It's about decriminalization. You know, that's what we really, you know, need in the city. So we have people that aren't even cannabis users that come to just, you know, help with the decriminalization part and, you know, making our community better. So, and also the Trenton cannabis community would like to help with the Thanksgiving, you know, the clothes or food drive, however we're going to do it.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And right off, the rescue mission, somebody, we need to
so
make
basically
sure that somebody thinks this is a good idea who could get this to the people who could use it.
So we were talking about this last night, actually, when I say us, the Trenton cannabis community. And what we thought was that we would just take whatever we have and we would take it ourselves and somewhere in Trenton, just open up and give the stuff out to where, you know.
You can do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Oh, that's way better.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I need also a bullet point short way of saying that we need. What's the acronym for your organization?
I think well, the thing is, TCC is also another organization in Trenton. So.
Because I remember things with acronyms. You know?
TCCA.
All right. Well. Anyway, Trenton Cannabis Community.
We originally were going to be the Trenton Cannabis and Community Awareness, but we decided to just turn that, the TCCA, Trenton Cannabis Community Awareness, into the events that we host. Like the Cannabis Community Awareness are the events, but the organization is the Trenton Cannabis Community. We're just community members that, you know, support, stand behind cannabis.
You know, I'm just saying for my own personal, you know, the Trenton Cannabis Community, I still see an acronym first, so I know I'm not the Trenton Community of Cannabis or something. You know, I mean, there's some that, you know, and I always got NJU. I got to go, okay, New Jersey United for Marijuana
Right.
Reform. I can remember, you know. But when I tell people between now and Thanksgiving that we are collecting, I've been saying like the canned goods, dried goods, you know, quality stuff like some as well. I got an extra things you would donate to anybody, you know, where you say, oh, this is, you know, I'm not going to have any more kids, and look, what do we do with it? And yeah, here, you know, is that what we're talking about, or?
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah, you tell us. Personally, let's make it easy. This is your deal, and we will help you. That's all you with
what
that.
are we talking about? I just
for the Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I thought this was your deal.
No, the whole Thanksgiving is, but with what to do with this afterwards.
What to do with the stuff that we collect.
That's all, you know, and I will help drive it there. I mean, I will do all that. I'm just saying I'm not the you know, this is perfect. This makes it a Trenton Cannabis community.
Right, so like what
coalition.
You plan on wrapping everything up like around 1?
Yeah, actually around 1. I got to get out of here. When I say by 2, I'm always late, so I'm in my head saying 1:45, whatever. But I'm going to be here at 9 o'clock, probably earlier, but 9 o'clock, so that I'm here. And between now and then, I'm going to give serious thought to, do I need more tables? I mean, you know, I want it to look like what we're doing, you know, if there's going to be stuff there, if it's collectible, and then, you know, that I can have some at my house to them at the store. You know, there's little particulars, but it's not a massive event. It's a goodwill, you know. I mean, it's like, make the effort, whatever the success isn't the issue. It's being a cannabis community, and we're a coalition. I mean, it's what we all do. And we do things together because we're a coalition.
As far as food goes, like whatever leftover food, we could take that straight to the rescue mission. I believe they have like dinners probably like around 4 o'clock or something.
Well, you know, if they're good with that, I mean, you know, we want to be able to say to anybody passing by, have some break bread with us,
come
you know?
here and
and not just like, well, where do I sit on the grass or whatever, you know, I mean, it's table, you know, it's going to take a little bit of doing, but it's a one-time thing, so I'm okay with that.
So you're accepting like clothes and stuff too, right?
I think if this is something people need and you think you could find people, if it was, I'm talking about junk stuff, you know.
Right.
I mean, there's
There
stuff
is.
I need, but I wouldn't take it.
I was actually talking to the church today, and there is a church that's going to be open on Thanksgiving. I believe it's called Salvation. I'll find out where it is, but they're going to be open on Thanksgiving Day, and they give out clothes and they give out food.
Really?
So they'll take anything that we have, they'll take all of it on Thanksgiving Day.
Well, the food thing, I was
Yeah.
wondering if there'd be an issue because transfer of food from here to there and blah, 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 you know. But it's like the coalition has donated $100 towards the expense, so
nice.
we know we're going to have some food, you know.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty much for food, but also that if somebody's passing by, I want to be cognizant of saying, well, there's some already, you know, here, and you know, like,
so
you know,
like
without
platters,
people,
like
with
whatever
yeah,
hot food that's left over.
kind of like here, grab here's a bag or a sealable plastic bag.
The street that the Salvation Army is on, like that whole block, the whole area behind the Salvation Army, it's like Desperation Alley. Like all the people who can't get a room or can't get in the Salvation Army, like the whole block, there's about at any given time 20 to 30 people just on that street, on the sidewalks, up under the tree, just sitting there.
This is
so
five
if they do
weeks
not
away.
Take the hot food,
we need to
there.
gather. I need to find a place where I can come and we can talk about this and make notes and stuff. It's 5 weeks away, Thanksgiving. So anytime in the next week and a half or so, if you have time, I think it'd be great if we got together because you're going to say one thing is going to give me another question.
Right.
And then, you know, we got to have good field vision and picture what is this really going to be like.
What it's going to look like,
what could go wrong. I did mention to really the guy that's most feared in the state police office, but I get along great with him. I mentioned that we would be doing this on Thanksgiving, and he didn't have the one eyebrow up look thing. And I said, it doesn't matter if we have a permit or not. I mean, I know it's a state holiday. It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
You know, but he didn't seem to wonder. That's what 3 years worth of goodwill gets you. You know, we say you're going to show up at Thanksgiving, we're a known quantity. So I see no issue there either as well. You know, but I will be actually asking for the permit next week because we get the permits for the next month. On the last Thursday of each month.
Now you're going to be broadcasting a podcast as well, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Is there any way that you could broadcast from the statue across the street, like directly across the street from the State House?
No.
Because that'd be an optimal location to have the tables and everything set up.
It's just that they don't issue permits there for anybody now, where they do issue permits here. So we got to be at a place where they would have issued a permit, even if they don't. As much as, but you know, that would have been absolutely perfect.
Right.
But we are going to move it out towards the road a little bit. I mean, we're going to move it out so that we're past the demarcation line of where it's okay to smoke far enough away from the building, so patients can consume their medicine as they eat. And if that's debatable to anybody, I don't think it will be on Thanksgiving. It should be interesting.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, what about any other festivities? Is it just the food and clothing handout, or
it's a typical podcast like what we're doing here. Only we're going to be eating and talking with our mouths full, and who knows what. I don't know. You know, a guest. It's a loose. I mean, it's the 100th podcast, and like I told the state police, I said, and another thing, we're ending. You know, he says, yeah, I heard that, and I said, so, but it'll be 99 if we don't come back on Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And I do not want to spend the rest of my life with somebody going 99.
Why didn't you?
Why 99? That'll be the question. Nobody will say why 100.
Right.
You tell them you did something 99 times, like an achievement. You know. You know, it doesn't matter. One day somebody will hit 99 home runs and we missed 100. I don't want that.
Right.
We're coming. But Thanksgiving, basically, the city, the block, has put up with our shenanigans for 3 years. And
But how about keeping hot foods hot and cold foods cold?
This is one of the things we would be talking about, that I'd wondered about that. Now I know cold turkey is fine for sandwiches and stuff. It's just basically there were times in my life I passed by and I said, so basically I can take away some already made mashed potatoes, turkey, some of this, some of that, blah, 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 and go reheat it up. Oh yeah, you can do that. And I don't know about how, stay down there, I don't know how it would really work out. I mean, short of, I'm sure Burrini's market's going to be busy, but Wayne Burrini really came with the whole big hot coffee thing and all that. And that was pretty cool. And we gave away food then. It was like pizza and sandwiches and things. Well, actually, it was complimentary food, and nobody stepped over till I put on below it, free. Underline, oh, free. Complimentary. We got to go tell them I think they're really good looking, and they give us something. Yeah. So while you're here, Ken, is there anything that you go, oh no, I forgot to tell them about it at the podcast today going on? You got notes? I don't know. He sits on bombshells for like 15 minutes sometime. By the way.
No, these are notes from the previous meeting. So everyone's encouraged to come to our monthly meetings. It's second Tuesday of every month at the Lawrence Township Library. From 7 to 9 p.m. Although I won't be there next month in November. Jim will be running the meeting.
There will be snacks. I bring snacks.
Jim will bring the snacks.
And then Ed Honeyb will be there half as late as usual, and between the two of us. And just one time, I walked up and there was two people I'd never seen waiting on me to get things going, and that's wrong. How often does that happen to you? You walk up and there's two people that you didn't know, and that would work out for you, but it's like, I don't know, even in the right room here, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's there, But we'll muddle through it.
Don't forget to sign for the meeting too. At the front desk, you have to sign that you've been there. Oh, and we did get our invitation to come back in 2018. We just have to let the library know what days we want. So we're going to shoot for the same second Tuesday of every month in 2018. And yes, and I just want to congratulate you on your planned meetings at the Orchid House on November 1st from 7 to 8 p.m. Trenton Cannabis Community. I would suggest getting some of the, inviting at least some of the Trenton lawmakers, the councilmen, the councilmen at large. We had one.
That's the plan.
Yeah, one of them just
it's at a good
said he was
it's at a good
run
time.
for mayor of Trenton.
It's at a good time.
Alex
People can
Bethea.
generally.
Alex Bethea, yeah.
That's good.
So the election will be
year.
next year, but apparently people are starting to declare their intention to run for mayor already. And get him on record. Try to sensitize him to the issue if he's not already. How important it will be for the Trenton community to have marijuana legalized in the city, and how residents can start to benefit from this rather than have their lives destroyed from it.
Absolutely.
And the regularity is really going to help you there too.
Yeah, I'm hoping
anytime
to get
you
some
invite.
reaction from them. What's today? Yeah, this Saturday, the 21st, the NAACP Trenton chapter is having their meeting, and Alex Bethea is also a member of the NAACP, and we got invited to come out to their meeting to speak about decriminalization. The NAACP state chapter, they're already speaking out for legalization, they're for it, but the Trenton chapter, within their circle, they haven't had a chance to really talk about it. So they invited us out to speak on it. So, hopefully we get make a little more progress with that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the NAACP in New Jersey are one of the founders of the New Jersey United for Marijuana Reform.
Oh, word!
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, they've been listed as supportive in the past. I mean, never necessarily carrying the ball up the middle for us, but when anytime anybody says yes, you can tell people we're supporting. Well, the Municipal Prosecutors Association and NAACP. It's pretty important, and
it carries a lot of weight.
I think the monthly regularity is going to make it easier when you do invite somebody, and if they can't make it, they know where to find you. You know, it's they can't just say I'm busy. They almost have to say, no, I don't think I'll be doing that, because you offer them too broad a swath of times. You mentioned something about decriminalization, and while Ken's here, I wanted to bring up: do we not want a decrim bill at the same time as a legalization bill? What happens if legalization doesn't happen and now we end up with no legalization and no decrim? We didn't have a decrim bill in committee this last session. We did before that, though. There was a decrim bill, if I remember it, about 3 years ago.
I believe Reed has a decrim bill up separate from his legalization bill.
Yeah, I mean, as long as there is a decrim bill, I don't see why, we can't simultaneously approach both of them unless it just confuses people, like one organization going for it. I'm speaking as Jim Miller now, not as coalition board member. It just seems to me that, if people are going to say, like a lieutenant governor, no, I don't support legalization, but I do support decrim, it'd be nice to go, thank you for your support, now let's get started,
Yeah, let's stop arresting people while we figure it out.
Yeah, but for the lieutenant governor, it'd be nice to say, well, we look forward to you working with us between now and whenever you decide that isn't really what you mean to say. I mean, when people say that as a matter of convenience, because look, that's a good pivot point. Now, I don't support legalization. However, I don't think people, and it's a place to hide while you say I don't support legalization, and it has to, but or however. It's the segue, I don't, however. And,
Well, Senator Scutari's bill, the one he introduced a little while ago, did contain a decriminalization provision. Yeah. Until he recognized that it was going to be a while before the legalization took effect, and that marijuana was available to adults for sale.
So this, in effect, would be
in effect that
decriminalizing.
There would be decrim while they're waiting for that. That the arrests would stop.
I did not know that, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But of course the problem is that these initial bills, the language in the initial bills often undergo changes as they go through the legislative process. So we certainly would want to keep something like that in the bill, and also make sure that minors are not arrested. We're making it legal for adults to go out and buy marijuana, and it's still going to not be legal for minors, to anyone under 21, to go and buy marijuana. But that does not mean that they should be arrested for doing so.
Tobacco would be...
There should be some appropriate penalties to enforce the sales.
Model it on
minors.
Tobacco right now, and it stuns me to know, of course, that it is not illegal for a child to possess cigarettes. It's not illegal. It's illegal for anyone to sell them to them. Once they get it, it's not even illegal for them. But so to say that that's the model, and we realize that we're not going to say, well, once they get some cannabis, then it's legal, but the sanctions could be of a really sort of a minor variety, and it should be up to the adults who appreciate the privilege of this to make sure that it doesn't, make sure you know where it is. And where are you going to store and where are kids,
Right. We've already tried penalizing, outrageously people for the use of marijuana, and we've seen the results of that. It just is very destructive to society. It doesn't work. It actually encourages more drug use. So, what we really hope to do while discouraging teen use is to create an education campaign about exactly what dangers there are associated with the use of marijuana. So, and that's how we've been successful in curbing teen cigarette use and curbing drunken driving. And but the education has to be honest. It can't be indoctrination.
It can't be the DARE program.
It can't be based on lies, because people just blow it off, and that causes more harm than not saying anything at all.
It's like it's well, if they lied about marijuana, then they're probably lying about heroin too. Sure, I'll take a story.
Right.
And once they find out that they've been lied and all the things that they heard weren't true, and even sometimes without them using anything themselves, they just see it in their friends. It's like, that's not what I see. And then all credibility's lost. You need credibility to have that discussion.
Absolutely. So, you know.
We have credibility.
We do.
I got a call. I did not take the call because I didn't have my phone on me, and I didn't get it till later that night. It was from, I got to listen to it, the Bergen County Drug and Alcohol Council or Society or something. A very pleasant woman extending me an invitation for November 17th to go to Bergen County Community College. Is that a such thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, some sort of, I don't know if it's a panel thing or a forum where they just want to ambush somebody. I don't know how. I mean, and I'm interested in doing it. It's just that I haven't called them back yet. I'll probably be. I wanted to first make sure I would be able to do it. And my hope would be they know that we are all about cannabis being used with opioids in conjunction with for analgesia when necessary, so that when prescriptions reach their maximum recommended, whatever it is for opioids now, instead of saying, no, I'm not going to increase your dosage, which is where we're told the wheels start to fall off, where they get black market and then it's cheaper for heroin. That's the short version. That it just makes so much sense. And could it be that it is actually making sense to a drug and alcohol organization, a council? You know, normally that was always code word for something else, you know, Family Research Council. But the it would be nice. I plan on being amenable, even if it is going to be an ambush. I wouldn't really care. I mean, I'm not there to change their minds, but if they wanted to have me have something to say and ask questions.
I was invited to the New Jersey chapter of the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Addiction. Their chapter, they had a...
you got national, man. Look at this Bergen County. You're the man.
No.
Man.
The New Jersey chapter. New Jersey chapter, this was. And it was a forum, basically. It was an exchange of views, and we had a representative from Normal, New Jersey was there. We had Ari Rosmarin from the New Jersey ACLU was there, and I was there in support of marijuana reform. And then they had several people who were opposed to it. So it was a forum, and then we were all given a certain amount of time to present our views, and the audience was allowed to ask questions, and so then we responded to the questions. And I was just kind of looking at my notes from that a little while ago, and I was very pleased to be invited to that forum. I thought it was a great honor, really, to represent CMMNJ at this forum where instead of being completely opposed to any kind of discussion of marijuana reform.
Hours or something.
Instead of being completely opposed to marijuana reform, they were willing to engage in a dialogue about marijuana reform. They were willing to listen to our points, and quite frankly, we carried the day with that audience there. Of course, it was basically a younger audience.
If it isn't to have an argument, that is totally achievable. That when there's actual questions asked and you're answering to the best of your ability without, do you really believe that? How do you, But to say, instead of, how the hell do you know that? What are the resources for that? And you'll have them, or be able to find them. I mean, it's.
So I would get back to them quickly and definitely, if you can possibly work it into your schedule, Jim.
No, I can work it into my schedule, but I also have to work it into my I'm not heavily medicated schedule when I call. So. At the time when I found out, I was like, I'm not calling now. There's no way I'm,
Yeah, man. Call in the morning.
No, I'll call. It was a 2600 were the last digits. So it was a business number. I want to make sure basically that I have quiet time. So I'm going to Tom's River, see my stepdad, my brother, before he goes back to Canada early tomorrow morning, and I'll take some quiet time there.
Good.
And get out a pen and paper, notes, and see why the hell they want me. I would honestly, you know, if you said, hey, you know, I'm not doing nothing on the 17th, I would always prefer you either with me or instead of me. I mean, in other words, if it was just going to be one person.
I'll be in Jamaica on the 17th of November.
Ooh.
It's part of my conference there. 8CAM is putting on a conference.
Jamaica, where am I going? Tom's River.
Montego Bay.
Montego Bay.
Man, he's the like, look what a better life I have than you can today, man.
It's the
I am the man.
8CAM Medical Cannabis Conference, November 10th to the 15th, actually. So I'll be coming home, but I may need a little time to unwind after the conference.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So you wouldn't go make the call I'm going to make right when you got back, probably. You know, you want to be medium sharp, you know.
Right.
Of course, I could say, I got to ask right off, will I be able to medicate within reasonable proximity to where we'll be? I am a patient, you know. I wouldn't do that. I'm just. That's the inside voice, Ken. That's my inside voice.
No, but it's something to really think about. Like, you know, people don't know where patients can medicate, so it is a conversation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but see, you know,
Mercer County. Well, all the community colleges, all the counties have a community college.
Yeah.
So, you know, Mercer County has a community college, and my understanding is that they were actually working on, you know, making a safe place for patients to use their medical marijuana.
I think that's
campus.
needed. I think that's needed.
I would not ask in the manner that I asked, but I would tell them I do have my medicine with me, and I'm far enough away from home. I'll stop at a Wawa or somewhere, you know, and park where I'm allowed to do this anyway, unless you tell me you'd rather me not do that and tell me where I could hear, in case, you know. I mean, I'm not even planning on it, but would there have been a spot, you know? Otherwise, next thing you know, I'm encroaching on Lefty's I&E tour, and he'll sue me or something, you know.
But
it's too unlike me.
No, of course, the election's coming up in first week in November, and I want to thank you, Laura, for, you know, encouraging people to register to vote while there was still time to do it. That window has closed now, correct?
It has.
30 days.
So the people who are registered, we want to ensure that they get out and vote. It's important to make your voice heard. You know, the legislators, you know, rightly can just blow you off if you're not a voter. You know, but there's so many important things happen when you vote that you know, you get
taken more seriously by your legislator.
Why do you think the legislators are so receptive to senior citizens? You know, the concerns of senior citizens, because they vote. And they vote.
They won't miss it.
Right, and it doesn't matter who you vote for. The important thing is that you vote. You get out there and get in that booth and well, I don't think they pull levers anymore. They press buttons.
Touch buttons.
And be counted. Correct.
Yeah, you know, I wish there was a follow your vote organization that takes it that next step, because while voting is not just a right, it's something, you know, that gives me the right to come here and mouth off because I vote. Okay, but we're here I'm following my votes. In other words, you vote for somebody, they get elected. If it ends there with you, you know, I don't think you get taken quite as seriously. You know, when you're a first-time constituent contact, you get taken seriously because they're going to not blow you off. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, when they know that you do get in touch with their office now and then, when you let your opinion be known, not to argue, just to say, I'm for that, I hope you are too. A simple call like that actually does more than just voting. It gives you that power that you're following them, you're watching them. So, you know, to make the calls. And then, well, as long as that's my system, you know, we want to make them about medical cannabis, too.
Right.
It's a shame. I shouldn't have to tell people that most legislators have, at least when I've been calling out of hours, an answering machine service of some sort.
Right.
So you can leave a message.
You can leave a message.
So for people who are adverse for some reason to calling and wanting to talk about cannabis to a legislator in any way, shape, or form, they're afraid he might ask a question like, oh, is this something that really they don't want to have the conversation, but they do want to go on record to just a little thumbnail thing to read, call and leave a message. It'll count just as much as if you talk to somebody. You'll get the same check mark in the same box, the same, you know.
Yep.
So to do that, and I thought to that end, follow your vote could be something that's done. You could have meetings or even If you're having a monthly thing at 7 o'clock, they're not in their office. You could incorporate that and say, okay, anybody that wants now, we're gonna be making some calls on that, and leaving messages, and it counts the same, It's easy. I'm shy. I like it better.
Of course, if you're old-fashioned, you can still write a letter. Letters are very
that counts a lot.
Very powerful tool.
Letters over email, I would say.
I've asked back in the day, up until a few years ago, when I've had casual conversations with legislators, what importance they consider this or that, and that's where I found, well, first time constituent contact gets, try not to send a form letter.
Right.
But what surprised me, I would pass on, is the CapWiz letter, the one I thought didn't mean much, the one that it's click and send, autofill, boom. Click and send, and I was told that no, actually that counts quite a bit because it shows organization, and that So basically, they know the more from one particular source they're getting. They just think there's an organization that got this many people to do that, so they take that pretty seriously too.
Any effort that you can make is appreciated. I think some efforts are more powerful than others, but no effort should be, ignored if that's all you can do, or if that's what you can do, or if that's what you feel comfortable doing. The important thing is to do it.
And to do anything, because I'm the guy that sums it up, saying, if you bitch about something and you are active in trying to find a solution, that makes you an activist, or at least an advocate. If you bitch about something and do nothing to affect a solution, all you're doing is bitching, therefore, what are you? That's the inference, and it's the simplest of things. That call, it's if it's important enough to even preach to the converted in a discussion and stating your opinion, that's all you got to do. Take part. That's the meaning of life, by the way. Take part. When anybody wonders, you just tell them to take part.
Show up.
Oh, I did find one interesting bit of information that the expert panel that was appointed by the Department of Health, they'll be having their meeting on October 25th, which is coming up, and at 10 a.m.
That starts the clock.
Is it public?
October 25th.
And it is open to the public.
Oh, it is.
Now the public will not be allowed to speak at the meeting or make comments.
Yeah.
But you can definitely attend and you can listen to them, debate and come to their final resolution. About what their recommendations are finally going to be to the Commissioner of the Department of Health.
That starts the clock, the 6-month clock.
Yes, that definitely starts the clock.
6
well,
months.
I'm not
6 months.
sure. I'm not sure if that starts the clock or if
They're sneaky.
when those final recommendations are typed and received.
I thought they had to turn that in.
Commissioner office in the office of the Commissioner.
I thought that's due on the 26th.
Is it due on the 26th?
That's what I thought. That's my understanding was the 26th.
Yeah.
But
when things are due and when they actually appear,
Right.
maybe two different things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't we know that? The hard way.
Right.
Over the long haul.
So I don't know that actually you can actually start, the clock ticking on that. Of course, it's a
I want to start a clock ticking.
Well, I think I'm
want
gonna call.
a real clock on the website, a
Yeah.
countdown.
I've called the Department of Health actually and spoke with the, I guess, what is it called? Marijuana, medical marijuana.
Medicinal marijuana program.
Right. And I asked them just, as a general, like, how does this work? So I'm planning on, I'm going to call probably, the 26th or the 27th, say, okay, now they're in. So now what do we do?
Right.
Just to kind of stay up on it. And, I come just I have questions, and that's basically what it is. And they're very friendly.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I've heard that they're responsive. Some are more responsive than others.
And some, I think it's maybe perhaps how they're asked to respond, where, Laura
Right.
and, of course,
I think I submitted some questions that I never really got an answer to, about their numbers. I was critical of the numbers of patients. It seemed to me that the numbers of patients that they posted on the Department of Health website was inflated, and it was not really the number of active patients.
No.
because
That was 15,000?
Right, about 15,000 they talked about. But those, I believe, are the total number of applications,
Of registered,
total number of people who registered,
exactly.
not the people who died. How many died? How many dropped out of the program? How many didn't bother to renew their cards?
600 died in 2016.
It seems to me that the
No,
active
2015.
The active number it has to be far lower than
Yeah.
the number of total
when
ID cards that were issued.
When they gave whatever yearly report, or we read about it before a podcast some time back, and at the time there was 6,600 some patients, and 600 and some had died in the past year. So it was approximately 10% of the patients during the course of a year died.
Right.
Well,
yeah, that's an important point. And what got me was, they talked about the number of new applications in a given year, and then for 2 years, and then 2 years later, they talked about a much smaller number of renewals. Well,
people can't afford it. There's some people also that just can't renew. They can't afford to renew.
Karen was just here
Right.
explaining that.
Right.
She couldn't afford to renew it.
But that's a number that we should really be looking at.
Yeah, I believe it really is important to know how many are active patients,
Right.
not how many ID cards are issued. Because 15,000 sounds like a lot of cards, although not in a state with 9 million people. But still, it's a lot more than, say, 6,000, or if that's the actual number of people. I don't know what the number is. I asked them for clarification of that, but they never got back to me. So
Why 2 years for renewal? Why not 4 like a driver's license?
Yeah. Why renew a seizure condition? Why renew a
PTSD,
seizure condition at all?
And why does it
These
cost?
things don't go away.
Shouldn't a renewal be cheaper than the initial charge? I mean, if it's $200 for the first fee and then the renewal's $200, they're not doing all of the same work. The work's done. It's like the physician says, yes, it's been renewed. Okay, it's a clerical thing. It doesn't cost
Right.
$200.
I mean, I can see that you have to establish that you're still a resident of the state of New Jersey in order to participate in the program. But if you have a condition that is not going away, the condition's not going away.
Right.
So, it seems like that is all you should have to do is, establish that yes, you are still a resident of the state.
Well, I hope when my 2-year renewal comes around, it'll be potential for adult social use, and I can retain my card. Hopefully, that's exactly what's going to happen. We'll get adult social use, and I will retain my card because patients might be getting home grow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on.
That's a dream.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be great for the program
be
itself.
cheaper,
That patients could, that they could then, afford their medicine because they could grow it, and if it actually dealt with, could patients then share medicine in whatever form it was, it would be so much better now.
And the New Jersey program, I want to say, is a good program in terms of the product that
I
they
think
put
it
out.
is. I really do.
I mean, the marijuana is quite superior. It's world class, really. And you know exactly what the cannabinoid content is. You know exactly what the strain is. You know exactly what the terpenes are involved. You know exactly that it's grown organically, that there are no pesticides, no heavy metals involved. This is government inspected marijuana, and it is extremely good marijuana. The only problem with it is too few people can actually take advantage of the program right now.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I've been a patient for 3 weeks now. I've tried 5 varieties, and they're pretty close to what I expect, which is the fun part. It's sort of like, well, I'm going to try one in the morning. I'm going to try it in the morning. And, I just figured out the world's problems that morning. I mean,
everything makes sense.
I don't know what else to say,
Right.
No, I actually, just so I would remember, it's not like in a manner of bragging. If anything, it's a matter of admission that what I came up with, that I remember. It's like remembering a dream, though. Well, because I came up with lots of stuff. But it was like, yeah, man, everybody leaves a footprint. And what used to bother me is when somebody said, 200 years ago, people had died. It's like they never existed for just about everyone. But it's about leaving a footprint. And that's why the meaning of life, what will take part. Because when you're gone, there'll be a residual effect, your footprint, how it affects other people. How, and if you've done great things, that's your footprint. But footprints, they disappear over time, or maybe they stay there because they're that important and it's something. But some grow. Sometimes you can take part in such a way that your footprint grows when you're gone. That your influence will be felt, not your being, your influence. And it won't matter if anybody remembers my name 200 years from now. But if somebody's living at the end of a benefit that I had anything to do with,
Tim, you need a transcendent cause for it to proliferate.
Did you just have some sativa cannabis too?
No. I haven't had any smoke. Not at all.
I'm just saying that sounded like me then,
Yeah, but you need that transcendent cause that can unify men.
No, I agree. And and for me, it was not just a transcending cause. It was the way I came to it. It was in a transcending manner. The perfect example of wanting to do everything for someone who had so little, and it was a quest. I don't know what to say. Sometimes, because one time I explained this to somebody from the Philadelphia, a weekly Philadelphia paper, it was widely known, and I explained that and ended up by saying, but who wouldn't do that for somebody in my position? And the guy was writing feverishly because he wanted to remember, and he stopped and he went, mostly nobody, that's why I'm interviewing you.
Right, right.
But I really meant that. And then it occurred to me, it's I don't know.
That's a good point, Jim. It really is a remarkable and heroic thing that you did with Cheryl, and that so many caregivers give, caretakers give when they.
The benefits, it's my insurance policy, and I used to say that it wasn't affect my insurance policy, that when Cheryl was gone, and assuming it would be before me, that when I look back, I want to be able to remember everything and not block anything out, because I don't want to wonder, did I try hard enough? Why didn't I do more? I could have done this, we should have done that. No, if we should have done it, we did it. If we could have done it, we did it. We tried. Yeah. And I pulled the plug a couple of times when it looked like it might jeopardize Cheryl. People don't know that. She was supposed to testify at the Institute of Medicine hearings in 1997 through 99. Really? Yeah, she was highly sought after. Mm-hmm. And she had discomfort in her jaw, like it could have been a toothache or something. So that's all it took.
Right.
No, we're not going to Washington and do this, as important as that was. So I knew when to say when too. Yeah. But that was my insurance policy, that I get to look back with fond. There's no tears unless I want them. There isn't.
Right.
And I did what I could when I could, mostly. And certainly nobody's perfect, and a lot of things could have been better, but not to the degree that I wish anything.
Right. Right.
And with my dad, I wish I'd known about edibles, because I
say
did
the
not
same
know.
thing. My dad died of lung cancer at the end of 2015, and I was just new to the activism. My first march was in October, and it was actually hearing the two of you speak right in Trenton, and I smoked to smoke. I didn't know it was, I didn't even know there was medical benefits to cannabis until I came to that rally and I heard you guys speak, and I was like, oh wow, there's more to it than just getting high.
Wow.
And
you've come a long way so quickly.
I didn't even want to be in the pictures. I didn't want to be, I just really wanted to kind of stand back here. I was really afraid. I was, working in doctor's offices, and people really had a whole different perception of marijuana, and oh my gosh, you can't, what is, it's scary when you're working, and you don't want to be one of the potheads, or the perception of that. Right. So I really stood back and just listened, and it really changed my whole life. But my dad, like I said, he passed away of lung cancer at the end of 2015, and I couldn't even have the conversation with him of, Dad, do you want to try marijuana? Do you want to try cannabis? A, I didn't know how to get it, and B, that my dad, I was afraid of how he would look at me. What do you mean marijuana? It was just so taboo in my family. Mm-hmm. But I wish I could have, if I had known now, back then it would have been a whole different conversation.
Well, maybe that's kind of why you are coming along so quick. you can get the information to others earlier.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And well, you know.
And breaking the stigma, like stop it already. Breaking
Yeah.
the stigma.
And I often bring that up, that there are parents who are sick and don't break the law because of an example they feel they have to set for their kids. And when all is said and done, all that happens is their kids, if they find that out, have to live a life knowing one of their parents didn't be well to save them from something they didn't need to be saved from.
Right.
And that, you know, that's the opposite effect that parent wants. You know, but the sooner people get to understand the things you just described, the better. And with my dad, it was, I didn't know, it was just before I found out how easy it was for edibles. And he did try smoking a joint, and he took one puff and coughed and had to go back on oxygen, and that was it. I mean, it wasn't, that didn't stimulate me to say, I know this can be eaten. I'm brownies, who doesn't know about brownies? And I stalled, I balked, he was dead in 6 weeks, you know. And it wasn't like I had a lot of time to think about it. So that taught me that I need an insurance policy with Cheryl, you know.
Right.
I mean, I already inanely knew that, but this was, he passed away in 1993, and we got started with somewhat activism in 1990. You know, so it wasn't like I had all the information, but I wasn't aggressive enough. I didn't show up when I should have. So.
Well, there's, you know, the stigma to overcome was decades in the making, you know, and very well financed by the federal government and by pharmaceutical companies and alcohol and the prison industrial complex. So it really was a tremendous thing to overcome, and especially, you know, it's a real David and Goliath kind of story, you know, when we're talking about, you know, organizations like CMMNJ trying to overcome this with our, you know, meager funding.
Meager, that's more than we have. We don't have, we strive to achieve meager one day. So that's why I donate when you can.
Yeah. So, you know, but we really are, you know, we're winning the hearts and minds of the people, and as new generations come up, I think that people are much more receptive to the idea of cannabis therapy. My, you know, cousins had one of their baby had a cancer condition, and you know, one of the, you know, and of course they wanted the finest medical care available to them, and they took them to the best, you know, university medical hospitals for treatment and whatnot, but they also looked into cannabis therapy, you know, so that was, yeah, and they contacted me and they said, you know, Ken, well, you know, what can we do here, you know, what do you know about this? And so they reached out to me, and it was people who, you know, not involved in this movement at all.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, just it was a real eye opener for me that you know, some people who you wouldn't expect to look into cannabis therapy are already doing it. So.
Yeah, well, when the chips are down and a lot is at stake like that, you will get surprised by the people who.
Yeah, and it's happening more and more, you know, around the country. It's really becoming a very accepted. It's going mainstream. That's what it is. Marijuana is mainstream medicine. And we see that happening more and more. I think that was one of the themes of one of the Patients Out of Time conferences. It's, you know, it really is a, you know, unfortunately physicians are still, you know, for the most part, resisting this. You know, they didn't learn about the endocannabinoid system in medical school. The pharmaceutical industry is not encouraging them to learn about the endocannabinoid system. Why
would they?
And you know, they're specialists, they're busy specialists, and unless it's their specialty, they really don't have a lot of incentive to take this on themselves. You know, nurses are a lot more receptive to it, a lot more eager to learn about marijuana therapy, because, you know, we see this in our patients. You know, we see how we do our own assessments of patients, and we see how marijuana helps so many people. And so, you know, and our Nurses Association, the American Nurses Association, encouraged nurses to learn about medical marijuana. And they consider it the right of patients to have access to marijuana therapy under appropriate prescriber supervision.
The endocannabinoid system needs to be in more curriculum medical students.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
so one of the universities in New Jersey is now about to start a marijuana major.
Wow.
Yeah, but they can't call it that. They have to call it biobotanicals.
Wow.
Biobotanicals.
What?
Biobotanicals.
And repeat that again.
One of the universities in New Jersey hopes to have a major course of study in marijuana in the fall of 2018.
Which one?
Stockton University.
Stockton.
Yeah, they're working on that. So,
well,
that was very encouraging to hear that.
I mean, Dr. Bob Melamede, of course, set the tone at when he became the head of the biology department at the University of Colorado, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just love when he said, that what he understood, of course, then is the head of a department can make up courses. So he taught a course on marijuana, and he said he could wear his marijuana leaf as a teacher. And his course, you had to know people to get into his course.
I am wearing one today.
Oh, I have.
But to be able to say, I'm going to get to be a head of department so I can teach about marijuana.
Got Weed Man on today.
I got nothing.
Yeah. So, Lefty, yeah,
I got 2 wristbands.
You probably attended the Weedman's trial. It's going on today too, I guess.
Tuesday.
And back Tuesday, we're back in.
Back at Tuesday.
Back in Tuesday.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Today is a break day.
That's what I thought. That's what I heard. I'm not 100% about that.
I'm going to get permission to film today, so I'm going to go fill out the paperwork for that.
Yeah, I thought I had anticipated your filming, the first day, but I was appreciative of your very good summary of what went on. Lefty, thank you for that, Lefty.
Yeah, thanks. It's a shame seeing what's going on in there. It's just it's disgusting.
I know. I saw you get an important piece of advice, actually, and it was beautiful. You were having a discussion with a woman who, as she walked away, an officer of the court, I guess, came over to you and said, well, yours is the only voice I can hear. You should tone it down. And then when you went back to talking like that, it was superb.
That woman pissed me off.
Yeah, but watch that part. She pissed you off and got away with it because your response was louder than what it took her to piss you off.
You're right.
Just the volume of your voice is all it was. And it wasn't me telling you.
It's tough.
And it wasn't you going, well, I should, the instant, okay, let me try it that way.
Well, that had already escalated. You had caught that in the middle of the whole escalation process. Yeah. That was like...
I know, but his point was simply, look, yours is the only voice I'm hearing.
Right.
That summed it up,
She knows how to...
Well, but he's made you better at doing what you do now.
Yeah, I appreciate him.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say is I could see a learning experience right before me.
Badge 92.
This was in the Weedman trial?
No, this is my trial.
Oh, your trial.
Oh, that was your trial.
My trial, right?
Well, yeah, it's the only time I heard anybody talk sense to you like that.
A lot of trials this week.
A lot of trials.
Tribulations, too.
I will tell you this, though. I think Ed, he really sounds like he looked good and he sounded well. This is the best I think I've seen him in court. We've been going to, pretty much all of his, the trials and everything leading up to. And he seems well prepared and ready to go.
No, he definitely is that. I mean, I saw him in Burlington County. I sat through that entire court procedure, and he was great. He was. I mean, the problem is, of course, that they handcuff him. They gag him. They won't let him talk about things that are important to him and important to his case. So, as prepared as you are, what can you do? Put a gag across your mouth and try to, express that to the jury that you can't say the things that you want to say to them.
In Burlington County, though, he wasn't incarcerated. The fact that he's been incarcerated all this time, and you're telling me he looked and sounded good. That's
I think he did. Yeah.
That he's coming from a total incarceration point and able to keep that.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive. Mm-hmm. Because he was. I mean, in Burlington County, he had pretty good command, and of course the best part was not during the trial when he kind of metaphorically slapped the prosecutor Luciano. I'd never get tired. It'll take a second because it's worth it now to stop us for a second and say his best ever.
That was great. Was
in between Judge Delahaye called a timeout. The jury's looking a little glazed over, so we gave him. And I stayed in the courtroom. Ed was there, prosecutor was there, judge left. There was only a couple other people there. And Ed, he says, "So how you think you're doing, Weed Man? How you think you're doing so far?" Kind of egging him, but politely enough. He goes, "I don't know, I'm having fun. I think I'm doing pretty good, you know." Hey, let me ask you, did you like that show, The Untouchables, the one in the 90s? Did you like that? Because I love that show. I guess, you know, I thought you probably would, because, like, you remind me of Elliot Ness. And he leaned in and went, "Really?" And went, "Yeah, Elliot Ness was an asshole, and you are too." but he
loves
he,
that.
he physically leaned towards him, taking the compliment.
Love it.
And when he leaned in,
Of course he would.
he verbally backhanded him. It was beautiful. You know.
I liked when he said, he told the jury at the end of the trial, "You know these candies I've been eating here at the desk? There's marijuana in these candies." He said, "I've been eating marijuana all during this trial." And the jury acquitted him.
Go figure.
Well, during the trial that I was at, to be at the same one, to be asked by the sheriff's officers to go out to his van and tell him and his friends to not smoke marijuana by his van. And I'm like, "You guys, you're asking me." And I was dumbfounded at first, and I thought, "Oh, I get it. You don't want to arrest him for doing that, because his whole defense is, yes, I can smoke a whole pound of marijuana. I can." So if he gets arrested for having it lunchtime during his trial and the jury finds out, would that taint the jury? I mean, it's a whole complex thing. He's a rather complex individual.
He is.
I feel it. It's getting time. Lefty's going to come over and
It's 2:15.
thanks CMM&J, and it's hard to, you know.
Thank you, CMM&J.
See? I knew it. It's like Groundhog Day after 95 podcasts, you know.
We are allowed to smoke cannabis here in Trenton because of CMM&J's hard work over the years. Now, Cheryl Miller wasn't in CMM&J, right? Or was she?
No, but this she knew it was we formed during her lifetime.
Right. Okay. Right.
So she was in on that, and you know, we formed it. I decided to accept an invitation to join New Jersey Normal's board, and I did, and that's where I met Ken. And then we decided really quickly, like by the next meeting, that we wanted to form a group that was about medical only, you know. And then, of course, Ken and you did get to see Cheryl before that at the White Dog Cafe. So when you saw Cheryl at the White Dog Cafe, she already knew that we had an organization going, strictly medical, you know.
Yep. So thank you guys. Can't thank you guys enough, really.
It was quite a ride. Still is.
SativaCross.com, NewJerseyWeedman.com. And like you said, his trial is going on all this week and all next week and probably for a few weeks.
Well, it's the jury selection now, right?
Are they done with the jury selection? I believe they're done.
Already? One day?
Was it one day, or I don't know? Are they done?
I don't know. When there was, they did the was it the lunch break around 12 o'clock? I ran into Billy Huff. Billy Huff was there. So at the intermission at 12 o'clock, he said there was still about 50 jurors they had, and they were interviewing. So at this point right now, I don't know if they completed and really narrowed it down to.
Well, they could go through those 50 and ask for more if they don't. I mean, depending on how, you know, lawyers have virtually unlimited.
No, that was the first, yesterday.
Yeah. But so once they complete jury selection, then they wrangle over certain proceedings, what you can and can't say, and what you can and can't do. So they go through that, and but then the trial starts. I mean, so are you saying that actual trial testimony is going to be given on?
I believe it starts Tuesday.
Yeah, that's what it's looking. It's looking like Tuesday.
I mean, they spent hours talking about Facebook posts and if we're going to see the names of the posters, if we're not going to see the names of the posters, if Ed's going to be in the well or not, if he's going to be in the sidebar, if he's going to have headphones, like all this housekeeping.
They'll be sending the jury in and out a lot in the beginning of the trial.
It's ridiculous and crazy how they can actually use the Facebook comments and posts, but then they're going to black the names out. And Ed made a good argument the first day. He's saying, like, if you're like these people, he don't even know more than half the people. Like these people posting could be trollers, like they could be a prosecutor,
Government.
they could be they could be anyone. Yeah. And if they're going to use these comments and block the names out, like
Get out of here.
Ed has a fight on his hand, but like once again, yes, he is well prepared and he's ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, like even the like how they're saying he can't talk about his other open cases, he can't even bring up Hayburn, but at the same time, the evidence that the prosecutor is bringing about, it has like they just want to use like whatever comments works for them for their defense, but in some of those comments, they have like links to videos and other information, and the links that's in those same feed, they're a part of other cases that Ed can't talk about, but obviously they're letting the prosecutor to talk about. So, like, hopefully with the appeal that he put in, like they're going to let him, I mean, really use his defense, because fucking gagged and Bob, like it doesn't make any sense. Like I don't think they're really going to allow that to go through. I don't even know how to judge past that. Like he really can speak about nothing at all when all of these cases are concerning what he's in trial for right now.
Well,
it's a sight, and I really don't understand why a lot of more media isn't on this case. Like they're crippling this man, like, and he's putting everything out there for the world to see. He's not hiding. He's not scared of anything, but I don't know how this process is continuing on like this.
Well, doesn't that make you somewhat fearful that there's a chance that it could all go wrong? I mean, it does me. You know, I mean, it's one of these times I'm, you know, the stakes are higher than ever before.
Right.
The potential for disaster is higher than ever before, and he's
20 years.
You know, it makes me afraid for his welfare.
On both sides, though, too. Stephanie Katz is going to lose her career if she loses this job, this case.
Yeah, she's giving it everything she has. She shows,
She's throwing everything at it, like ridiculous. It's like he's a murderer. It's like he killed her kid or something. It's like, really? It's like vindictive, spiteful.
It's not fair.
Yeah, it's just scary, the power that the system really has. Man. Like all this shit is bogus, but yet they can still prosecute and manipulate and twist and turn the law like how they want.
Look, just knowing how DNA has let so many people out of prison makes me wonder, how were they convicted in the first place? It's like this.
Yeah, exactly like this.
And that tells you, and the serious crimes they were convicted of.
Yeah.
So
rape and murder.
Don't think that can't happen to Weedman. You know, it can. And I don't know. He's dodged a lot of bullets, and the ones that he didn't dodge weren't multiple years. But when you start hearing 20 years for witness tampering.
What is it? Selective persecution, that's how they call it.
Selective and malicious.
The whole Hayburn situation. You're telling me, if my lawyer tell me, like, this is the direction in which we're going to provide our defense. This is our defense. This is what I counsel you to do. Like, I am your attorney. I'm advising you to do this. And then when the client does it, it turns out to be a crime or frowned upon or something. That attorney isn't held accountable. Like, you can't even bring up that attorney's name. Like, oh, no, we're not talking about the attorney. But so the advice that they give you is you should have sought other means of counsel.
Yeah.
It's not on me to know the law. If I have counsel governing me, handling that case, how can they tell you you should have got other advice? Like,
isn't it true that him getting other advice caused his clock to restart on the 180-day countdown? So even when you do that, he got penalized for doing what he was told he should do. You should have
60 days.
Better. Okay, well, I'll do it this way. Oh, now they get set back. Well.
By Ken Wolski. Thank you, sir.
Ken Wolski no longer in the house.
NewJerseyWeedman.com, Happy Daddy Products, MagicalButter.com, SativaCross.com, new DavidVersusAutism.com. Screw that up. Hi, Honeybee. DavidVersusAutism.org. Are you sleeping in a pot field again?
Yeah, I just woke up. You just woke me up again.
What a life you have.
Wow. What's it, like a 7-hour, 8-hour time difference or something?
No, I
trying to help you out.
It's my day off.
Yeah.
Blue Planet Biotech, Run, New Jersey, medical-freedom.com. Can of Sense, New Jersey Grannies for Grass, Toughies Fight, Legalize for Lorelei. JacksonStorms.com. Prayers for Sarah, Prayers for Pete, Jenny's Purple Ribbon Journey, Jenna's Journey, Women's Veterans Collective, and Weed for Warriors. I forgot to put sugar in my coffee.
Don't throw it away.
I just took my wheelchair across the street, and Trenton has big problems. If this is our state capital and they need to make an example for everybody in the state, our state's screwed. Because my wheelchair barely made it down the sidewalk. The sidewalk's very uneven, and there's all steps everywhere. Everywhere.
You can't get into those buildings in a wheelchair?
It's a joke. And there's no way to even contact people because you can't even see up there to see the numbers or the writing on the wall. Or it's very sad. And this is how it is in New Jersey. If we could fix the wheelchair problem in Trenton at the State House, we can fix it anywhere. What was that? Is that you?
What was that?
I like it. Oh, the bug? That bug's making noise? Ah, that's what it is.
Daniel Brady. He left a bomb.
Leave it to Dan.
This little time bomb.
All right. I like it now. I think I like it now. Are you kidding me?
Those are the best cartoon noises ever.
That was made with you in mind, Lefty.
This is perfect.
That toy is made for you.
Well, of course, that's the cartoon noises and one cartoon porn noise.
Boing.
That's for both you and Laura's kid.
Well.
Oh, is that yours? I thought Dan Brady brought this.
Oh, he was playing with it then.
Oh, this is not yours? Really?
Well, then it is Dan's.
It's Dan's. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes, sugar. Thanks. That helps. Helpful. Very helpful. Not healthful. Healthful, no. But helpful, yes. She just gave me sugar. So it was helpful, but not healthful.
Sounds like back from the day. Thanks, sugar.
Thanks, sugar.
Thanks,
hey,
sugar.
Hey,
sugar.
All right, you know what time it is, guys and girls. It's time to be sad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anything going on with you, Honeybee, before we get sad? Or just feel free to interrupt our sadness at any time with anything you want. Seriously, interrupt me, because this list is really bothering me this year. It just gets longer and more, I don't know.
It's a good week when there's no additions.
Oh, God. Well, we don't know of any additions.
I know.
We don't know of a lot of these things that are happening to people. We don't know about them. We don't know about shut-ins. We know they're out there, but we don't know where they're at or how to contact them, but they're out there. And there's other Cheryl Millers out there. People suffering, and you're not hearing about them. They're in a room by themselves.
That's what I said at that press conference across the street that DPA put on Montel was at. And I made it a very loud, emphatic point. They're within one mile of here in an arc. You draw a circle around that. And the scene is playing out. I played Cheryl's Cry of Pain. You know, that short story, you know, one time having to get her changed. And it was going to hurt her, putting her on her left side, and that's the only way to do it. So, you know, when I was beside myself and said, why do I have to hear you screaming still, you know, because she was going to be in pain. And she said, well, why don't you record it so somebody else can hear it who needs to? And I have my little recorder there, and I take personal notes, you know, a mini recorder. And I turned it on, and I didn't listen to it for maybe 3 years. I was looking for a picture with a good enough resolution to blow up because the DPA wanted to, you know, make a larger picture of Cheryl. And I found that recording, and I played it, and you know, it was stunning. And I listened to it seriously at least 50 times, over and over, so I could leave the emotion out of it when I played it at the press conference. And I did. And I said, Cheryl in her own voice here can respond to the fact there's other alternatives available that work. Because if there was, we would have done them. And you know, and when I played it, it was stunning. So what I said was, make no mistake about it, within 1 mile here right now, this scene is being replayed over and over again. People are screaming. People are helpless to help them. And just because you don't hear them doesn't mean it relieves you of the responsibility of doing something. And I was livid. I just morphed into a whole nother person at that point. And I actually never saw a film of it. I didn't watch the film of that. But and then it was Montel's turn to speak, and I think he wished he'd gone before me instead of after. He couldn't match that. Actually, he referred to Cheryl. He usually says, why do I have to suffer? Why do I have to suffer? And it's a fair point. I'm not making fun. I'm just saying that's where he starts out. I've seen him speak. And why did Cheryl have to suffer? So he pretty well changed it around. And rightfully so.
I'm going to get on you to send me that audio, because I know I have to remind you of things.
It exists.
Well, I'm going to have to remind you to send that to me. Because at the last day of our last podcast, I want to play that.
Oh, man.
The last thing we play should be that, ever.
Yeah, you want to go full tilt, Boogie. Don't listen to it until then.
Yeah, we'll play it at the end of this. We'll just play it. We'll go out with that. That's a way to go out.
Oh,
Cheryl can end the show in her own words.
That would be stunning.
You mean the regular weekly ones, not the show overall?
No, the regular week.
The regular week ones.
Yeah,
we're done.
We're done on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the ones that are here all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
We'll still we'll still be back.
There'll
There'll
be
be calls to be back.
There'll be
you know.
something going
Yeah,
on.
there'll
I want to be back here now as not part of a regular podcast when we're here for a committee meeting and Senator Nick Scutari walks by Lefty.
Maybe maybe we could do something for like
I'll show
the
up just for that.
inauguration if we have. If
Now
Phil
this is
Murphy
a good
wins.
point. You know, the inauguration one. I mean, Lefty's stretched too thin as it is. However, that is a pretty big day.
Yeah, it's a huge day.
Yeah. And
it's a cold day.
There are
Yeah.
but
Middle of
it's not an outdoor day. Doesn't mean we can't get an office here ahead of time.
Permit
for inside. We get a sponsor in the legislature like Reed or somebody, put in a good word, and we get an indoor room, and we might even it'd be quite fitting.
Wow. Yeah, I like that idea.
And at the very worst, cold as it is, if we had a vehicle to do it from, signage right in front of the War Memorial too, because the Poppin. Actually where is the inauguration? That's right in the.
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
I think no, that's in the. I think that's in the chamber here in the. I don't know if it's going to be it in the part that's being renovated. I get confused as to which part of inauguration is actually at the War Memorial Auditorium and what goes on here. But I did come for Chris Christie's inauguration in his second term. That's where I threw down and said, no, we're not done. So it would be kind of cool, say, no, we're not done. And it'd be exactly 4 years then. Didn't let go. Assuming Phil Murphy gets elected.
Yeah, that's a big assumption. That's why everyone needs to vote. He might be up by like 15-ish points, but everyone still needs to vote, because if everyone says, "Oh, he's so far ahead," I guess it's not that important to be a vote. If too many people say that, he loses.
Well,
so every single person really
John
needs to vote.
Corzine was supposed to win a month before he got beat, and I didn't really watch or see it coming. I didn't have that I should have had way more interest in that. I just want him to sign the damn bill. That's all I give crap about. And then we got Chris Christie. And
Blame the media.
Yeah. Fake media. It's under consideration, yes. Inauguration day. I'm going to probably be here. I want to hoist a sign at the very least. Okay, get to the good stuff.
Sabina Rose, it's a 15-month-old baby, died from a very, very long seizure.
December 2nd, 2012.
Her whole life was seizing and recovering from seizures. That was her whole life. That's all she knew. She didn't have time to learn. She had no time to interact with mommy and daddy. She was just busy seizing and recovering from seizures. And how do we not do everything we can for these kids and these families?
It's terrible.
Diane Ripatello. Little Gracie from Pennsylvania. Cindy May, another little girl. Marie from Pennsylvania, from cancer. It's Ryan's mom. Jack from Colorado. He was just a kid, man. Joan Ford is William's mom. She had seizures. And the nuns.
Bad ones, too.
Yeah. What's that?
She had bad ones. Bad seizures.
And the nuns would throw holy water on her.
If only that was cannabis oil.
Yeah, helpful, hurtful. That's kind of hurtful.
They explained to her classmates, I believe it was 6th grade, that she was possessed by the devil. That's why she was away from school. She was possessed by the devil. This is to 6th grade Catholic students.
So Joan was shunned by her classmates because the nuns told her to shun her.
How Jesus-y of them. Shun.
Well, her own aunt was a nun, not at that church or anything, you know. So, yes, I read the book.
Randy Robertson had the Whipple procedure done to him because of his cancer that was eating his body. They gave him that before they gave him legal cannabis. They pull out all your organs and put them back in, but they wouldn't allow him to smoke cannabis legally. No comment needed there.
No.
Bill Buckman was my attorney. Chad had brain cancer. And when Chad was diagnosed with brain cancer, his father killed himself, leaving Iris all by herself to take care of Chad, and she had no idea what to do. She contacted some people, and somehow they got in touch with us, and we got her a magical butter machine. But it was 2 years too late. He needed this oil years before this. At the point where he was at, it was just quality of life. Jeremy is a victim of the drug war. He grew some beautiful plants and went to drug court because of it, and it ruined his life. Because of drug court, he couldn't smoke cannabis. So he used government-approved substances. That's what killed him. Our government killed him. Colette is Jeff's mom. She died from MS. Some people say you don't die from MS. You die from complications from MS, like not being able to breathe or swallow or...
That's like saying, he didn't kill that man, the bullet did, you know.
Well, sometimes they say you don't die from AIDS. You died from like having a cold, and that's what killed you. But your immune system was so weak. So they say that about a lot of things, unfortunately. Even though it was the major disease that caused the
pneumonia. Yeah, you got pneumonia. So
ALS causes your body to shut down, and eventually you die from your body shutting down, not actually from the disease, you know.
Yeah. Same with ALS. You won't die
Right, that's
from.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
Oh,
and you know, so, but it is from MS if MS caused what it is that took your life. So, semantics.
Matt, Troy, Russ Perry, Roger. I'm supposed to have Senator Cruz Perez on the show soon. I called him off the air.
Good.
I don't know if I told you that.
No, I didn't. Yeah, you didn't.
Yeah, so we're going to have her hopefully have an answer for us. I'll call her back and we'll get an
Yeah.
answer next week, hopefully on the air.
Well, it's good because she's up for re-election, and they're supposed to play nice like that when they're up for re-election, and that you didn't call on the air, you called off the air.
Yeah, I'm doing it the
where,
right way.
Where what it was that would put her off before, she, you know, they didn't know when they couldn't pick up the phone because it'd be too late, you know. And but I think what bothered him about that is you weren't abusive, you weren't dominant, you were just trying to get something done.
Yeah, tenacious.
That she should do, and that's scarier than anything to her.
Yeah, probably. It should be.
Yeah, so
it really should be.
Yeah, well, if you need to follow up, don't be afraid to.
We're going to.
I mean, off
Elections in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So thank you, Roger Barber, for your leadership and showing us how to take care of your family, because you really did when you were here. Jay Orletto. Who you want to roll with? That's Jay. Ella Bagelman. Sweetheart. She was here a few times with us, and she died from brain cancer.
Wonderful person.
Yeah. Hattie Koshel, my grandma, I gave her cannabis at the end of her life. I think she liked it.
I'm sure she did.
She better have. I went through a lot of trouble filling that bag for her every week, every day.
A vape bag.
Vape bag.
Turkey-based size
That's
bag.
awesome. I love it.
Turkey bag. Yeah.
Driving it down the turnpike every day.
with a full vape bag. Well, it's kind of like a balloon.
Yeah, it's just floating around.
Yeah. It's medicine in it.
Yeah, smoky balloon.
And well, where was she? Was she at her own house?
She was at that time she was in her apartment.
Okay. I mean, you weren't walking into a facility with a vape bag. You know?
No, but I would have.
Every week, I'm bringing one balloon for my grandma.
With ribbons on it or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
Fake dreadlocks. You know. On top, covering the bag. Yeah. One day you bring that 15-footer I've seen. They had that in Wisconsin. I don't know. It was huge. It was a 15-foot vape bag.
Yeah, it's a little too much for Grandma.
Yeah. Help her out.
Oh, God.
And here we are.
Here we are. Another week. Another week of remembering our friends and family. And while we're still here, while they're not, maybe we're supposed to do something for them or with them or... And I don't mind letting this linger. I don't. It should. We should have moments of silence, even if it is uncomfortable silence.
Well, it's not all that often you have the chance to have an unannounced moment of silence where everybody kind of gets it.
It just happens.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go with it.
It's respectful.
It is, and the water effect all year was really moving because we're at the annex this year, and we have running water all year, which is very peaceful.
Until today.
Until today, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no more water.
Yeah.
Everything ends.
Yeah.
So we're gonna end the show, Honeybee.
Well, we forgot to say Michael Dillon.
I didn't forget anything. We're not forgetting. No, I wasn't gonna let you forget that.
That's for you.
That ain't happening. That ain't happening. You know that.
Oh. You know, I sit here and I'm looking at all his pictures and seeing his beautiful face, and it's just, I don't even know what to say. I just miss his laugh, his smile, and his love for everyone. I just wish that we could have helped him a little more. He wanted to be so independent that it just didn't work. So maybe if, he had more medicine, it would have worked. So if we could all help other people with that 10%, it will make a difference. Families won't have to be sad because they're missing their loved ones. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember that.
We will remember